I still got the max
Wow.
headroom going on. Like I
Yeah, it's
gotta
crazy.
change the battery.
That's kind of awesome. He's doing the robot, the goat robot.
Right?
Ah,
Yeah.
that's great. Love
It's
it.
been a week for me for dead
Yeah,
batteries, but we can get into that later.
it sounds interesting. Is it family friendly?
It is, well,
Okay.
some of the things I said when it happened probably weren't family
Oh,
friendly.
well, you can tone it down a bit then for
Right,
this
right. I can
particular
use a
audience.
lot of gosh darns.
Yeah, darn it all to heck.
Jiminy cripes.
All right. So, yo, YouTube. Welcome back to the live Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time every single week. You can't get away from us. We're like a virus. We just circle back around every week.
Yeah. Every time you
Um,
think you get rid of us.
yeah, we never truly go away. Um, this week is an interesting week because it is the last show before our hard show, the GOAT show.
The goat.
Sunday, right? Sunday, yeah. 9 to
Sunday,
2.
Sunday, Sunday.
Ooh, we should do that. That's a good idea. Next time I'll do that for the yeah, I did get a
Promo.
haircut. Next time we'll do that for the commercial, yeah. Um yeah, so our first card show from 9 to 2 at the Riverside Ballroom on Sunday, September 8th. So I am psyched. We're getting pretty booked up. I think we have a couple of tables left yet, but we're definitely going to have a big solid show, even if we fall a little short of the max table number. To some degree, I was kind of happy about that. I mean, if we sell out, we sell out, but it'll be kind of nice to have a little bit of extra space. It'll be our first show, so we're going to be kind of running around. The dealers aren't going to quite know what to do. We're not going to quite know what to do. We haven't been at the venue before. There hasn't been another show there. So in a way, I think it's going to help us keep things a little bit manageable and stuff.
Yep.
And obviously, this one's going to be a big hit, raging success, plenty of attendance and all that, and we'll sell out all the future shows. Um, but I think it's okay if and a new show is tough. Like some of the dealers don't know us, we don't know some of the dealers, and the venues and things like that. So we'll uh, and most importantly, how our sales going to be like. So
Right.
but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a raging success. We got our partnership with Coats for Kids today. We were kind of waiting for an agreement from them. You have to have permission to use them as a charity at your event, which is interesting.
Hmm.
Um,
Very
so we're going to be
protective
collecting,
of their brand.
very protective, which isn't a bad thing because charities do get bad knocks sometimes when they get
Sure.
associated with bad people or things. So we will have a big box there. Bring a coat for a kid. They call it Coats for Kids, but you can really bring a coat for anybody. If you
Yeah.
have an adult extra large size coat that's in good shape, they'll take it. There's plenty of other people who need coats too, and there's lots of really big kids. So, um, but yeah, we tied it with our football helmet giveaway. So you bring a coat, get a ticket into the drawing, and we're giving away an autographed Randy Moss helmet. As a matter of fact, my laptop's sitting on top of the box right now.
It's a
Needs some
pretty cool helmet.
needed some elevation. Yeah, it's very cool. It's the kind of the black shadow horn, and then it's a white matte helmet.
What did they call it? Eclipse
Um,
or something like that?
yeah. Great. You had to say that. Now I don't have access to it because it's under my computer right now.
Let me see if I can
Um,
look it up for us.
yeah. But you're right. It's something like that. It has some nickname to it, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing that. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody. It was kind of funny. I went to this
Found
past
it.
weekend. There were two other shows in our area. You found it? Okay, what is it?
Lunar Eclipse mini helmet.
Lunar Eclipse. There you
Yeah.
go. So I went out to the Luxembourg show and I talked to a lot of the dealers, and I think sometimes if it's not a table you normally stop at to shop, you know, if it's a dealer with like a bunch of slabs, I don't really deal with that. So But when I was promoting a show, it was kind of fun. I went around and talked to a lot of dealers I wouldn't normally talk to, and it was a lot of fun. Handed out some flyers, got a couple more tables booked. Um, Went to the distillery then on Sunday. I spent some time talking to Max for a little while, which was nice. I don't really get to talk to him much, so that was fun. Kinda hear his take on shows and, uh, a little bit about the Pokemon community, which I'm not as familiar with. So I've learned a lot in the past few weeks just trying to deal with a bigger breadth of the hobby than I do necessarily on a day to day. So
Yeah.
uh, I'm looking forward to more of that, and the more the dealers getting to know us, and we can get to know them, and um, have some fun with that. And they're gonna meet our wives, so that'll be a thing. So
Here's a
uh,
little preview of the mini helmet and what you're looking at potentially winning. This is off another
there it is.
website that is got it for sale. It's a nice little mini helmet. You can see it's not a cheapie in any way. You got a Hall of Famer signing it. Very cool design on it.
I like the white for the signature too.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot of Randy Moss helmets where it's the deep purple, and even a black pen doesn't show up very well on it. This
right,
can be very easy for you to
right.
show off,
So
display, enjoy.
this is Steiner Sports and Collectibles. I think they've got it out there for $5.39 right now. So it's a
Wow,
nice little helmet for the collection.
heck yeah! And we're giving it away for free. Like other
Free,
than other than a donation of a coat,
free, free, free.
free, free, free. So I shouldn't say free. That's technically wrong. You have to
Plausibly
bring
free.
you have to bring in a
Free,
coat,
free.
or we are selling tickets if you would just like, which will be all the funds would be donated to uh, Coats for Kids. So when I go drop off the coats, I'll have a check for them as well. Hopefully, if we sell some tickets, so you can buy your way into the drawing as well. But we'd really rather have the coats, to be honest with you. That's honestly what they need. Um, so yeah, if you got kids, you got extra coats, this is the right time to do that because you got to get your kids trying. As a matter of fact, we were just talking about that for Luna this past weekend too. Like, man, I had to get rid of so many of her pants. They're all like this tall above her ankles. And it's like we got to get her to try on those snow pants and all that stuff because you haven't worn that stuff for 6 or 8 months. There's a lot that happens to a kid in that time. So yeah, this is a good time. Get your kids to try all that stuff on. You got a nice coat that they only wore for a year. Now they've grown out of it. Great,
Yeah.
donate it and go donate it and get yourself an entry for a nice football helmet. And then go get your kid a new coat. That's part of the other part of that deal, I suppose.
Yep.
But but that's just par for the course, right? As they get bigger, they need bigger things. So
They don't
yeah,
last
I,
very
one of-
long when they're young and growing.
right. One of the things I always wondered because when I was with the credit union, we were like a main sponsor for Coats for Kids. So
Hmm.
I've been collecting coats for years outside of this card show, and I always asked them, why don't you take boots? Why wouldn't you want boots? And never really got a clear answer on that. Now we have had. I used to have a member at the credit union. I'm not going to call out any names or anything, but I had an older member at the credit union who used to knit all year long, and she would knit these awesome mittens and hats and stuff, and bring
Yeah.
in like garbage bags full of them. We'd have like 40 pairs of mittens and 30 hats or whatever. And she would donate those, and I was like, "That's awesome! Now, what a great idea." And it was perfect for her because she was older. She wasn't going to be able to run around and do a bunch of stuff. But she's like, "But I come to the credit union every month, for Social Security or whatever." So she's like, "It was perfect because I just had to knit all year long, and then I knew in November I could come in, bring in all my stuff that I knitted and drop them off, and you guys would take care of it for us." So,
Yep.
um,
Absolutely.
so Friday I got to go pick up the box. They're not going to drop it off since it's a single location. So I got to go pick up the box, and then Monday I'll bring everything back there, and I'll film that too, so you guys can see the donation and all that. But yeah, I'm excited about that. I think that's fun. That was something when we talked early on, last year about potentially doing a show. We really wanted to tie something into local charity or something for the community because um, this is our community participating in this. Yes, people will come from outside the area too, but uh, when your community provides you things you can do, it's good for you to give back to that community.
For
It's
sure.
good for everybody. So we're really, really pleased we were able to put that together. It took a little while. Some people were on vacation. There was a holiday. There's, um, some things that held it up a little bit, but we got everything set up this morning. So I made a post on the Facebook page. So if you're not following the Goat Show Facebook page, get on there as well. Now, we're not going to bore you all night with just talk about the card show because we realize there are plenty of you in the chat and plenty of you watching this video that don't care about a Green Bay card show, which I completely understand that. However, we did kind of want to use that as part of our segue into what makes a good card show. Um, and now putting together our own, I think, changes that perspective a little bit, right? Because
Yeah,
you're looking
for
at it from
sure.
the promoter side versus just the dealer side or the buyer side. And so here's the things that I have a small list of things that I think are the most important things to have a successful card show. You ready? You want me to just name them off and go?
Go.
Okay.
I was gonna guess them. But you go
Well,
ahead and
you
list
you could you could. I think we could have something more exciting for our trivia tonight, though.
them.
Um, But a few things. I think free admission is important because I want anybody, that has a small budget. Now, granted, if you charge $1 to get in or whatever, and we're lucky, we have a market where we can support that. I know some of the venues are very, very expensive, and you just couldn't do that. You have to charge for admission. But I think that's important because there's no barrier to entry then, other than you got to get yourself to the show.
Yep.
So I like that. I think having good quality dealers that have good products and have enough products. You don't want necessarily someone to have a table and they have three cards,
Yep.
out on it. You want to have variety. So you want a dealer in wax. You want some dealers in Pokemon, some dealers in other, non-sport stuff, some football, basketball, high end, low end, value
Yep.
boxes, PSA graded stuff. You really want to have, I think, that variety. Try to get something that any customer would be able to look for. Let's see what else. Good lighting, and
Yeah, we learned that firsthand.
good lighting, I think, is important. That's climbed the ladder for me a little bit this last year with a few shows that made that a little bit challenging.
And as we
Also,
get older.
and yeah, for sure. Um, And then also the venue itself just being open and accessible and easy to find and easy to get to and plenty of parking. And so from the customer side especially. Now from the dealer side, I think it's important to have a location where you have some separate access just for the dealers where they can come in and set up and they're not trying to work through the customers. The early entry thing, where you already if dealers are buying from dealers, that's one thing, but having just general public in to start looking at your table before you even have anything set up, and okay, well, I need to use the restroom quick. I didn't even get to do that. Now I got to watch my table because there's already people in here.
Right.
So um, that, and then access to food and drinks right there, so you don't have to leave, you don't have to order anything, you don't have to Uber.
Yeah.
And that can be done a few different ways. The promoter can bring food in. You can have be at a venue where they serve food and drinks. The promoter could provide food and drinks. However you wanted to do that. But I think that we've done some shows where it's like, man, that day gets pretty long when you don't get anything to eat.
Right.
If you're kind of starting your day at 6:30, 7, whatever, getting there, setting up, you know, show goes till 2, 3, 4 o'clock. Then you got an hour of takedown and all that. It's kind of tough.
Even if you had a food truck in a parking lot or something.
Some sort of quick access to food, a fast food place across the street, something where, I mean, even that's not ideal, but at least that's not, far away.
Right.
But to me, that's like the things. I don't think it's a lot to ask for. I think those are all somewhat reasonable um, desires on my part. But that was probably the main things that went into my thoughts when I was like, okay, if I'm going to put on a card show, how do I want this to look? What do I want? What do I like about the card shows that I go to, and what do I not like, or I
Yeah.
think could be improved on?
And in fairness, it's not always easy to get everything, right? Like,
No.
so a lot of shows that'll have two or three of our, likes, but then missing one or two. Very few
Hmm.
shows have it all, and I think that's what we kind of strive for, right? Like setting up our first show, we really wanted to strive to put it all together into one really good event. Um, so I agree with your first couple of points there. Like, variety is a big one. I want to be able to go to a show and I want to be able to look at some high end stuff. I want to be able to buy a bunch of low end stuff. I want to buy sport, non sport. I cover the gambit really,
Yeah.
and
I'm.
it's something to be said for one stop shopping, right? That's what's great about some of the super huge ones like the National, right?
Mhm.
Space is big for me. I am, I probably seem pretty sociable, but I do not enjoy bumping into five people going from one end of a table to the other. I do
Yeah.
like to have space in the aisles so you can get around, things like that.
It does
Um,
feel like a few shows oversell it, and
yeah,
I get the temptation to do that because you want to, you want to take on as many dealers as you can, and obviously income wise, it gets more money in, but that's not a great experience for your dealers, and it's not a great experience for your customers. And
right.
I think that's a real quick way to put a nail in the show coffin.
And then
you know.
pack that place so full that the temperature rises 20 degrees,
Mhm.
and then people are uncomfortable, they're super hot, it just,
Mhm.
so space is a great piece of what makes a good card show for me. You want a place big enough to get plenty of tables and get all that variety, but still give you plenty of room to move around in there, and that's going to vary from location to location. If you're going to have a show in a smaller town, you don't need as big a place. If you're going to have a show in a
Yeah.
big city, you probably want to have a pretty sizable venue. As I think of some other things, the food is a great one. Especially if you're a professional there and you're going to be there all
Mhm.
day, right? Like,
Yep.
you need a place to get some sustenance, take a quick break if you need to, sit down and have a drink and
Mhm.
a burger or something like that. I think
And I
that's
think
a
that's a
nice.
good point. I think that's a great point. Have like an area off the card show floor where there's a couple of tables where somebody could sit, take a break, have something to eat, have something to drink, so that they're not walking around the show with it either. You don't want a bunch of people with beers walking around necessarily either.
Yeah,
Um,
and
but
that's kind of the nice thing at the National with that VIP area too, right? Like, you could step away anytime you wanted, go through your fines, have something to eat or drink.
break a
Um,
box, you
yeah,
know, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
trade with
Um,
somebody else.
I think I think two things you didn't mention that stick out for me is the type of dealers you're going to have. I want dealers that are engaging if I want to engage, and will leave me alone if I don't want to be social. Like, I don't like a dealer who's hammering me, what can I help you with? Take a look at these over here, and really
Mhm.
trying to direct me where I want to go. But I love a dealer I can have a conversation with.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you looking for today? Oh, I shop low end cards, and sell on eBay. I'm looking for like 90s inserts and stuff. Oh, really? I love the, just natural back and forth. And not every dealer can do that. I understand
Right.
that. Not everybody selling cards is out there to be personable, and we see plenty of dealers that sit in a chair, never get up, never look at you until you hand over
Mhm.
money, right?
Well,
But
and
I
I think that's
go
one
ahead.
of the things that we realize is difficult, not as promoting a show now. It's like You can't really just pick your dealers to some degree either. I
Yeah.
tried to help that out a little bit by giving a discount for multiple tables because generally somebody who's going to be buying 3, 4 tables, they're pretty serious about being a dealer, right? So
Right.
you'll
Right.
generally have if they obviously will have quantity if they're renting that many tables.
Hmm.
They probably regularly do shows. It's not a one-time thing, and no, you'll get a couple single table buyers, and that's fine too. You a place for everybody. But yeah, you can't just say, "Well, I need a wax dealer. I can't book you a table because you're selling PSA graded Pokemon stuff. I want somebody who's selling wrestling wax." you
Right.
know,
Right.
um, maybe if you got big enough and tight enough, that was something you could really buckle down on. But you
Yeah.
want to try to give
I love
everybody a shot at it
shopping
too.
at a wrestling table where I can have a conversation with a dealer about the top wrestling stories of the day. Oh, what's going
Right.
on with this guy? Or, when's this person coming back from injury? Who's coming up from NXT next? Like those kinds of conversations while I'm digging in boxes make the time go by faster, and they're casual, so I can keep doing what I'm doing, but pass the time that way.
Mhm.
And I guess the last thing that I would call out is an attraction type venue. I really do look back at the shows I've been to, and I think of like last summer, there was a Milwaukee card show at AmFam Field, or sometimes I go to the show at the
Mhm.
Foxes Stadium. The National itself is an attraction venue. There's so much more than just cards in the area. So if I can
There's
get
there's
that
also airplanes
yes, the airplanes. So
and lines.
having a good venue that's kind of an attraction in itself makes it a pretty positive experience for me as well. I find myself having stronger memories and more pleasant memories of that. Like I can tell you just now instantly, one of my favorite things at that card show in Milwaukee at AmFam Field was outside. There were some things that I remember spending time with my family on. Inside, I remember going into now we go back to food and drink, but they have the restaurant right there in the outfield along
Sure.
the third base side. So you're overlooking the field, you're talking baseball while you're getting a bite to eat. You're doing some things outside that are interactive. So I think that makes a nice show as well. But again, it's extremely hard to hit every one of those points we talked about in one show. I don't think too many can do
Right.
it. So
Right.
that's the lists we're giving are probably different from a list of priorities. These are just spitballing. What are some of the things that really tend to give me a positive memory of a show?
Well, and something that's important to you is not gonna be important to somebody else. So
For
you
sure.
you're
For sure.
right. I think as long as and I think all our shows in the area do this. We are not putting down anybody else's shows. We're not saying ours is gonna be perfect or anything to that matter. I enjoy every show around here. I think they all have
Yep.
great things to offer. So I think as long as you can provide an overall good experience for both the dealers and the customers and the venue for that matter, that they want to have you back. I think it's a win. I think it's a win and you can keep it going. So there's just those few things where it's like, man, I really like this, or man, I really wish there was that. And I can think of a million things I've been to in my life, and I have a list for all of those. That this was great, but it would have been nice to have this, or it would have been nice.
Yeah.
I think we all evaluate our experiences that way, your pluses and your minuses. Um, but yeah, and I think we can. I know we will hit on most of those points for our show, and that was
Yeah.
pretty important to us. Um, so we're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. We hope we can see a bunch of you there as well. Obviously, if you're a dealer, we're going to be talking to you anyway. If you're a customer or you're a dealer we haven't spent a lot of time with, pop up by us. We'll have a table up front, a couple tables up front. Cardboard Legacy will be there, and say hi. We really want to talk to everybody. I want to try to do some live feed from the show, but we'll see how that goes. We
Yeah.
I haven't really run any of their audio and video stuff yet, so we'll kind of see what they're able to work with us. But for first show, we want to get it down. We want to have a great experience, a good starting point, and then go. This is something we could do better for next time, or this is something we could do additional for next time, and keep building on it. I think that's important
Yeah.
to create success.
You know,
Go ahead.
I think about the flip side too of the shows I've been to. There's really only one show I've been to that I would honestly say I did not enjoy the experience. And I'm not going to call out the show, but I will tell you some of the things that I took away that gave me that impression was dealers were not very pleasant to work with. You know, um, not just not good deals, but kind of attitude about stuff too.
Mhm.
And then the second thing was really poor layout. I felt
Mhm.
like it was just jumbled, and you didn't know where to find things once you looked at it once and tried to find it again. You're like going through a maze.
And I know what show you're talking about, and I feel the exact same way about that show. I've been to
Really?
that one as well. Um, yeah, and we don't and even though you and I are kinda doing the same thing in cards, we don't do shows the same way. Like,
No,
most of the
we
time
don't.
we get in and you're over there, you go over there and I go over there and, you hit the Liney's Lodge and I'm already digging in a box,
Yeah,
that
you're
kind of thing.
much more focused than me on cards.
I'm very, very business, down my lane. But that's okay, but that should mean that we want there, some differences in our experiences too. But yet, in a show like this impacted both of us enough that we have the same feeling about it. So
Right, right.
some shows are they're just you're limited by what you got, right? If you only have so much space, or you can't get another venue, or it's going to cost too much, or wherever the case, you don't get good dealers. I don't know how you solve that problem.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just gonna have to keep going and keep trying to improve what you have and go from there. So I think we should get to the chat though, because I feel like we
Yeah,
have a
let's
lot
get
of
some
people.
feedback from the
We have
chat.
a lot of people that have ideas on what they do and do not like from a card show. So I think this could get interesting. I'm looking forward to it. All right. So first off, Troy is here. I think you're like first on that button the past couple of weeks.
He's
So
waiting
thanks for
for
being
us
here,
every
everybody.
week.
He is. He's like, those idiots are never on time, and he is correct. Uh, Joe is here. He says, "Whoop." Joe was here and then he was gone. Hello, my yo YouTubers. Hello, Joe. Thanks for joining us as always. Max is here. Show week. You bet your sweet Bippy. Hope you're ready to go.
Yep.
We want to see all the Pokemons.
Max has
You
already
know what
got an
really
order in with me.
I'm not like usually a big sticker on pronunciation stuff, but when people say Pokemon, that really bugs me. And I don't know why, because I don't know why I should even care,
Yeah.
but it does when they're like, oh, I don't know, he buys Pokemon. And I'm like, it's not, it's Pokemon. Come on, man. It's Pocket Monster. Anyway,
Yep.
Brian is here back from Vegas with a nice haul from 702 cards. You were supposed to send me pictures. I'm still waiting. I still have no photos of any of
I
your
always
hauls.
hear great
So
things about 702.
we need some photo proof. So let's get to it here. Joe says he likes my fine head sculpt here.
There you go.
This is courtesy of the spouse. She's my barber. She does a great job. Her and some clippers, some power clippers.
I wear a hat so much at
Uh,
practice that one day this week I didn't wear a hat. And the kids are like, nice haircut, coach. I'm like, I didn't get a haircut. You just never see me without a hat.
right. I used to wear hats all the time, but sometimes they give me a headache.
Loosen
Um,
it up.
yeah, well, I'll do that. Yeah, but see, I have a small head too, so that doesn't help. So it's like everything goes right over my eyes right away. Um, but the other thing is it'll like where the hat, the rim base of the rim of the hat goes around. It
Yeah.
traps like oil there. So if you wear it for like a whole day and you have like more oily hair, which I do,
Yeah.
that causes problems too. You get the pores clog and all that. So
All
anyway,
right.
so old man hat problems.
You've got hat problems, yeah.
I do. I do. Phil says, good evening. Um, back from you had to post this twice. Wow.
He's
Must be really
excited.
excited to be back. Oh shoot. School time. Yeah, you need to get a loan to send your kids to school these days. Between 150
Yeah.
in supplies and adding clothes and shoes. Yeah, shoes is funny. We were redoing our shoe closets at my house, and I have like 50 some pairs of Air Jordans, which is insanely crazy. Uh, but my kids got like 30 pairs of shoes, and I'm like, what the? When I was a kid, you got one pair of shoes. That was it. Better make these last for the. I got two. I got a pair of like shoes
Yeah.
I could wear, and then I got a pair of shoes for gym because we had to change our shoes for gym,
Think
which
of the
kids don't do
settings
that
you grew
anymore. I
up
don't know.
in, though. Don't you have a
I know.
collection of
I know.
shoes? To her, that's just normal.
And in most cases, girls have more shoes. They have different
Yeah,
styles for
yeah,
different things, and as a kid, I never cared as long as I had a decent pair of shoes. I was fine. I'm like, I just need a
right.
pair of tennis shoes so I can run around the neighborhood. Um, but yeah, it's I think times have changed a little bit on some of that as far as how much you get for sure. Yeah, school supplies are they're kind of a killer. And they don't even have books. Like, what do they even need for school supplies? A
Oh
pencil
my
and
gosh.
a
Speaking of that,
I
I have a
mean,
freshman who started algebra, and dad already got summoned to the table to help with homework. There's no lessons. There's no textbook. There's no
mhm,
laptop with a lesson, just a workbook. And
mhm.
I had to figure out the difference between a recursive and explicit expression.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I'd have to
put a
dig
put a
deep in the
formula in
memory
front of me,
bank
I
for
can
that.
solve it.
Right,
But that's
right.
a bit much to send home and say, ask your parents.
Just Google it. Just Google will tell you
That's
what
what
to
I
do.
ended up doing. And
Yeah.
then I helped them answer them all, but it's not the same as an actual lesson. And I like to be able to sit down and read what they're telling these kids because they teach it totally different now.
Right. Yeah, my daughter got we just got a tutor for her, so that's been interesting because there's two different experiences between school and the tutor. So,
Sure.
which is good because hopefully she gets clombs onto one of them and, progresses with it. But yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. And for now, she's in 4th grade, so I can handle any of the math, you know.
Yeah.
But some of that stuff, yeah, like when you get to trigonometry, I'm gonna have to be like, I don't know. I got to try to find that in my brain somewhere because that's not real life application for most of us.
Right.
Those types of math. So it's yeah. Whew. Um. Yeah, I don't envy you. That's gonna be fun all year long for you.
Yeah.
Uh, Odd Merchants is here. He says, I want to donate to the local youth baseball program. That's a great idea. And he wants to donate from his card sales. It's been a goal of his. I think that's
Yeah. That'd be
fantastic.
cool.
Pay it back to the community that, you were live and work in for sure. Max says number one on his list is good dealers. Nothing tops that for him.
Makes sense.
Yeah, no, when we were giving these lists too, it's tough because you have customers and dealers, and their lists might not be the same. Probably aren't the
Yeah.
same. So whereas as a buyer, I want the best dealers in the room if possible, especially with the best deals. But as another dealer, do I really want other really good dealers in there? I don't know, because that's also your competition. You'd love to be the one dealer who has this thing and no other dealers have it, right? That would be an advantage at a show. So yeah, it's different how those wants can change depending on
Yep.
your position. Um, Odd Merchants wants variety, not just ultra modern football. Yeah, we kind of pointed that out.
Absolutely.
I see a lot of that. Ultra modern football and ultra modern basketball. Now I've been seeing a lot of baseball. Baseball's been kind of dominating, it seems.
I like to see
But
more
we're also
vintage
in.
baseball and football too. But that
Mhm.
leads me to another wish list. some organization with your products if you're a dealer, right? Don't
Mhm.
just give me 10 boxes of vintage cards to go through and say, go at it, show me what you get, and then I'll tell you how much I want for it. You
Yeah,
know,
price stuff. Price stuff.
yeah, I want some type of price ranges. I want things sorted a little bit, maybe by years or by, sets or something like that, or
Yeah.
different tiers of prices separated. Just let me focus
That's
someplace.
So for me, my angle on that is because I'm looking mainly in value stuff, I don't want to spend an hour or 2 hours digging through boxes and picking out stuff I want to not be able to make a deal. I want
Right.
to at least have some starting point. Like, okay, these are $1 a piece. Okay, I can probably get them down to 75 cents, whatever. I want at least a reasonable starting point so I know what to look for. When it's, hey, yeah, just make a stack and we'll make a deal. Like, nah, I don't really shop that way.
Absolutely.
Let's see. 3 things needed at a Wisconsin cards show. PBR, brats, and cheese.
It's not a bad
We will
start.
definitely have we will have PBR. I'm sure they'll have PBR. I guess I shouldn't promise that.
I would think so.
Brats, and I imagine cheese is an option for some things.
If not, they're
That you can get for
nearby.
food there. If not, it's nearby. You're right. You're right. We also have a Kroll's right around the corner, like less than a half a block away. And
Yep.
if you're a Green Bay person, you know what this means. If you're not from Green Bay, it is like a destination restaurant in our city. Now it's not the main one. The main one is right across from Lambeau Field. We're on the east side, so it's their other location, but the food is the exact same. So if you want to try that, Kroll's would be a good suggestion of a place if you don't want to eat right at the show, to get a bite. Reasonably priced, good service, very old school restaurant. They've been doing it the same way forever. Burgers, chili, homemade pie, like they do the whole thing. Pretty good. Andrew has made a $15 donation for Coats for Kids. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew.
Very
Appreciate
nice.
it. Yeah, it's good to get that good to get that started off. Um, we don't Charlie and I aren't the accountants for this project, so I'll get it to the accountant and make sure she takes care of it. And do you want to be entered in the drawing for the helmet? Because I can see if we can make that happen. Obviously, we'll have to make tickets for you because you're not here. Um, but I'll get back to you on that. But otherwise, thanks for the donation. We appreciate you. Bo is here. He says, as a buyer at shows, I really only care about one thing: good dealers. I don't even think about food or drinks. Now, I kind of agree with you on that. When I'm a buyer, I don't eat or drink during the show either. Like, I'm not going to just stop and spend time doing that. So again, here's one of those things where maybe the list is different for the dealer than it is the buyer. So if I'm a dealer and I'm sitting there all day and I have a chair at my table, yeah, I want something to eat and something to drink during that show at some point. But you're right. As a buyer, I get there at 9. Let's say the show opens at 9. I get there at 9. I shop till 11 or noon. I go have my lunch after that, and I can go anywhere I want. Um, Now, I will say also as a buyer, I do like it if there is food right there and it's good food. I'll just eat there and then I can just leave. I don't have to go to another place to eat.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you
it can
though,
be handy both ways.
if you bring kids to a show, you want someplace to get something to eat and drink because inevitably your kids are going to get whiny and they're going to want
Yeah.
something.
And
And you don't want
the
to have
place
to
to
leave.
sit. I think
Yeah.
the place to sit is just as important, you know,
Yeah.
just be able to take a break and yeah. Max says, yes, the early entry thing as a vendor is a big thing for me. I don't get to walk around anymore. When I do for a couple seconds, attendees are already buying a bunch of stuff I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So the goal is to get everybody in and set up. And if the dealers are ready, we'll open the doors. But if they're not, we want to give you that time to set up.
Hmm.
I've been to too
And
many
network.
shows where it's right, and network and, whatever, have a chance to buy from no other dealers or trade or just, yeah, chat, whatever, for a few minutes, that's fine too. So, try to get there on time. I know you can get set up pretty quick. You know what you're doing. Get your stuff set up, and you'll have some time before the public comes in. Again, one of the great reasons for this venue, we have two completely opposite parking lots that the vendors will be in compared to the general public. The general public has a main entrance in the colder months when we don't really want people standing outside before we open. We have a really nice vestibule right when you come in the front door where we can corral some people. We can hand out tickets, collect coats, do things like that in there and get some of that taken care of. And then when the
Right.
show is ready, we can let everybody into the show. So I think that's a great way to do it. Now, I don't have anything against shows that just let people come in whenever. And I've taken advantage of that myself, but it's like I feel like some of these shows I keep getting I keep having to get there earlier and earlier and earlier to get to any of this stuff first. And it's like only 20% of the dealers are set up. So I get to some of those dealers. Now I gotta wait around until the other dealers come in and set up. And um it's tough. That's a tough call both ways, but we decided that we really want to try to give the dealers a chance to get in and get set up and be ready to go. And then everyone will have that comes in the door will have the same chance to get to tables right away. Think about any big convention, right? Or big show you go to. The national, you can't just walk in early. You gotta wait
Right.
until it's 9 o'clock and they let you in. Like I don't feel like unless it's a super, super tiny show, 10 tables at a bowling alley or something that doesn't have you know, uh, a separate entrance, where you can have people wait. Um, if you're doing a good sized show, I think you can manage that. So,
Yep. I agree.
and this is just you go in the front door. There's a vestibule there that which can hold like 30-35 people max. And then boom, you go into the main area and it's all open. Just a huge open room. You'll be able to see all the dealers. All the bathrooms are right on that main room, so you don't have to leave
It's like a
anywhere to do
banquet
that.
hall.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. There's one big main bar and it's in the back, so it's not going to be interrupting the show or causing problems for the dealers or the customers. You have to walk kind of towards the other end of the show to get to any of that and take your break. So, I think setup wise, it'll work well that way too. We're able to do a little bit. We have some layout there that allows for some crowd control, I guess is the best way to put it, splitting up the dealers and the customers a bit. Max says food and drink is last on my list. Have zero time for that during a show and really don't want it near my table. Yeah, and that's the great thing about that sort of thing though. You don't have to get food or drink. Like it's available to those that want it, but you can certainly skip it. It's not
Right.
required, by any measure for anybody. But even think if, geez, I'm really warm and I already drank my water. It's nice to just be able to go and get a glass of water or get a soda or something like
Yeah.
that.
But I
Even
can
if you
still
just want
bring
something
my
small like that,
quick trip
that's
cinnamon
okay.
buns and bag of beef jerky.
Right. Sure. Yeah, and you can bring what you want to the show too. You don't have to buy the food there. We're certainly not saying that. Or the drinks. You can bring whatever you want, and have it at your table. That's fine too. Let's see. Troy says I agree, either get food before or after going to a show. See, going to a show is different than setting up at a show. I agree. I eat pretty good breakfast before I go to a show to shop, and then I eat after I'm done buying. But as a dealer being there all day long, I want to have something to eat. And I bring snacks and I'll bring, my juice and my water and my soda or whatever I feel like having. But sometimes you just want like an actual fries or burger or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
something during the day, like a real meal.
Right.
Brian says, thank you, Bo. Good dealers. Forget the food, eat before or later, bring snacks while digging. Again, you're talking from the buyer's perspective. So I would agree with that. I don't think most unless you're looking for a specific card or just a browser, you're probably not going there to buy a card, sit down, have a meal, and then go back into the show. That would be a little different. Odd merchants, the amount of stored weight most of us carry around a show without food would be a healthy alternative. Yeah, yeah. Brian says he doesn't mind going elbow to elbow with other collectors. And I don't mind that to a degree. Um, but yeah, if you're just constantly trying to fend through a crowd, that's not that much fun. I don't think anybody truly enjoys that. Maxo space is a nice thing for dealers as well. There's one show in particular I set up at that there's zero room for back-to-back dealers to move around behind the tables. Yeah, and you'll have plenty of room on Sunday for sure. Odd Merchant says Disney World was great except for the past where I waited in line 8 to 10 hours. I was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now they have like a lot of register ahead of time for rides and things like that. There's some things to combat that, but yeah.
It's a lot of
Well,
waiting.
it's when we went to the national. Our buddy Ethan, who came with us, he's been to some celebrations with me, which is the big Star Wars convention every few years. And the last one we called it Line Con because literally it was like you had to get on an online line to buy your tickets to get in, and then when you got there, you had to wait in line to get in, and then when you got inside, then you had to go here to wait in line. Luckily, there was no bathroom lines or any of that kind of craziness, but yeah, it's some of those experiences. It's wait and wait and wait, and is it really worth the wait? That's what you have to evaluate, I guess. Max says he hasn't started getting ready yet. Hey, me either.
Oh, Max, you're always ready.
It's
You always got those boxes ready to go.
Yeah, and you do so many shows, you must kind of have it must be all in your head, laid out that way at least. It's funny earlier when Charlie said, have your stuff organized in your boxes, and I'm thinking, yeah, we throw together like 10-cent
That's
boxes,
true.
dude, and put them out at the table. Do you have any basketball? Yeah, in there somewhere. Good luck. Um, so yeah, it really depends on what you're dealing. If you're dealing in more price stuff, yeah, you should probably have some organization to it. They say Pokemon to be disrespectful. It's the old guys that are scared. Oh, really? I didn't know. So that's like a thing. People say Pokemon to be like jerks. That seems weird to me. Did you know that, Charlie? I didn't know that.
Not in that vein, no.
Wow, that's get a life, right? Um, yes, Brian, I got your picks now. You said well, I got a pick. Basically just but he did pick up quite a bit. I don't know if you
So
can
did
see
you
that.
fly? Did you have to store those then?
Yeah, how did you get him home? This is
Can't really see.
maybe you can kind of see if I come in from the side. Trying to block the light. See, it's a couple of 2-row boxes with top loads in
Okay.
it sitting on the
Yeah.
floor there. Anyway, um, yeah, how do you bring those back and forth? Interesting.
Although that could fit in the
Um,
backpack, right? So you could bring it on as a carry-on.
possible. Well, two rows. Yeah, possibly. So what I used to do when I would go to like nerd cons, so not card stuff, when I would go and I would buy stuff, and these are bigger conventions, so they usually have like FedEx or UPS on site. Um, but I would just take all my stuff, bring it to one of those shipping locations, and I'd just pack it all up and ship it home. And then it would be there when I got there. I didn't
Okay.
have to handle any of it. Didn't have to put it under the plane. Sometimes it's breakable stuff. It's props and statues and action figures and stuff like that that you don't really want on a plane.
Could see that.
Let's see. Bo says I say Pokemon because of the hilarious Jamal Williams interview. I am not familiar with that interview. We'll have to look that one up. Maybe Charlie, our tech guy, can look that one up for us.
I'm not familiar with it
Is
either.
that
Off
on
the top of
YouTube?
my head.
Is it on YouTube?
It's
Clue us
gotta
in,
be.
Bo. Tell us where to go. Post a link. Dan says food and drinks at a card show makes me stick around longer. The one I love to has multiple food and drink stands. That's true. Now that's a great another angle to take it. Another angle to look at it from is a buyer who wants to stay there longer in the day, right? So if you're a buyer and they don't have food or drink there, and you start at 9 a.m., you might leave at noon because you're like, well, I'm hungry. I did what I could do. I'm getting out of here. Versus, and Charlie and I have done this where we've gone to shows and they have a decent place to eat, and we'll take a break, kind of show each other what we bought, and we'll pop back into the show and buy more stuff. Right? Remember like the bowling alley show?
Yep.
I went back in and I bought all those Starline cards, and then we bought some Basketball Revolution had just come out, and those were hot, so we bought some of that. I bought some Brock Purdy rookies in the 50-cent box. Do you remember that, Charlie?
I do remember
What what are you doing buying those? He says.
Garbage.
Yeah. Bring them on. I'll take all the Purdies.
I found the Jamal Williams interview. It says,
Okay, cool.
Don't mispronounce Pokemon around Jamal Williams.
Can
Should I play it?
Can we can we do it?
Yeah, we should be able to. I mean, the only risk is we have no idea what's going to be on here.
That's
to
right.
share,
okay. I like taking risks.
Also share system audio. Let's see what it does.
But you better take this off.
That we talked about. I watch TV.
You can't hear it?
Didn't hear about it?
Yeah, I'm trying not to cuss.
Yeah.
I just want to play football and go home. You're holding me right now. I just want to go home and play Pokemon.
Go home and play Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You can't disrespect Pokemon like that. Pokemon.
Can't disrespect it.
You sound
I
like
got my
old.
nephew some Pokemon cards. I said, that's a big deal.
We're getting reverb from you,
I don't
Charlie.
know what card you got on them. They must suck.
Reverb?
You call them Pokemon, but it's a fine. Never mind. I'm off topic. Come
Does
on.
that work?
My bad. I'm sorry.
What has brought you here today, Jamal?
I
Oh,
just
well.
like anime and I love
Were you able to hear
Pokemon,
it?
and I like
Yep.
being here.
All right.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
when I
it
share-
played sound, yeah. It just kept echoing because it was playing off of your speakers.
When I shared the audio, I haven't done that before, but it did not play on my side because I have it muted.
Oh.
So I didn't know if you could hear it or not. That's why I turned the sound back on for a minute. Because on my side on StreamYard, I heard nothing.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, we could hear it. Well, maybe it was my mic that kept picking it up and recircling it. I don't know. Anyway, I could hear it just fine, so it was fun. Yeah, that's a great video. He's pretty awesome. Don't disrespect the Pokemon like that.
Right?
That's pretty good. Okay. So we have some debate on the food and drink thing. That's kind of interesting. I
We
think
do.
there's a couple different ways to view it as a buyer, if that's more of like a, hey, everything's right here, I don't have to go anywhere all day kind of experience. For some, others are like, nope, I get in and I do my thing and I get out and I go eat wherever I want after that. And then the dealers are kind of, nope, I'm too busy all day and I don't want anything by my table, so I don't get anything. And a lot of the other dealers, like you and I, when we deal, we're like, no, I want something to eat, dude, sometime in the
Yeah.
day. So it's interesting. I think it's a smart option to offer, even if it's not the show itself offering it. Like, Bo said, well, he doesn't think about drinks and food and stuff when he's there, but at his show there is a restaurant and a bar downstairs, so it doesn't have to be part of the show, as a dealer or as a customer at the show, you can still go get something to eat and drink. And I think that is important to some people attending the show, dealers and customers.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you one thing that makes me stick around at a show longer is a Wine and Kugel's booth.
Yeah, you that and what was the beer in Cleveland we had to have? I can't even think of the name.
It was
of
Wine and Kugel's. Oh no,
no,
it was
no,
Yingling.
no, no, no.
Yingling.
Yingling,
Yeah.
man, that stuff's good. That's them southern beers there, Not like us northern beer folk. Max says he loved math. I did too. I took 2.5 years of calc at UW-Madison. I had cousins going through high school recently. Graduated last year. I had a hard time with their pre-calc trig stuff. Things changed. Yeah, the
see?
style of math is different. Yeah, I agree. No, and I did some calc too in school, but I don't think I could just sit down with a calc book and start doing problems. Like, I think when things like that aren't applied, like plus and minus, you're going to remember for your entire life because you're literally going to use it every day of your life, no matter what you do.
Right.
But calc and trig is not. It just doesn't get applied as much in everyone's life. So, some people are definitely using it every day, but not everybody. Max says, I think only having one dealer of one thing is actually just a detraction, and that I see less buyers show up. That's a good point. That's a great way to look at it too. But there is a fine point where that tips. Yeah. Yeah, good. That's a good point because if the customers are going, well, I'm not going to that show. They don't sell any Pokemon. I couldn't resist. I had to do it just once. I didn't know it was a thing, so I had to do it once. But yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it's trying to find that balance, right? Because if customers don't have anything to buy, they're not going to show up either. So, yeah, we tried to get as much variety in dealers as we could, but how much say do you have in it? When somebody reaches out and they're like, "Can I get a table?" Yeah, I've got tables. Okay, I'll take a table. We did make it a point to ask every dealer, well, what do you sell? What do you normally deal in? Just so we could kind of get a handle on who's booking and what do they carry and where can we advertise more. That's where Pokemon started becoming a bigger part of it because we were getting a lot of dealers that were doing Pokemon. And so I'm like, well, we're going to get Pokemon customers here. So I need to have, so we went out and got some free packs of Pokemon to hand out, not just, the football packs that we had. And I made it a point to make a post. Hey, if you're not into sports cards, we've got Pokemon dealers. We got somebody who does all the gaming stuff, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh. Got a couple dealers that have some non-sports stuff. So it's like, that's good. We wanted to make sure that was pointed out so that the customers know you guys as dealers are, what you have as well.
Right.
Pairing the customers to the dealers is just as important as getting good dealers, right?
Absolutely.
Max says, don't hate me, but Kroll's is highly overrated. It's okay, but not a burger guy though either. I think it's part of like because you live there, right? Whenever I go to California, I have to get my In-N-Out burger. But you talk to people that live there and they're like, yeah, there's one on like every block. Who cares? I remember when I moved to Atlanta for a few months in college during a break. So I was there for like 3 months. And they had an Old Navy store in Atlanta. And I was like, oh my God, Old Navy. I had to buy a shirt with Old Navy on it. And like, right? That was like a big deal. And now we have one like in our local mall and no one ever shops there. So, yeah, I think it's one of those things.
What about the shakes, Max, at Kroll's? Have you tried the shakes?
I mean, a shake is kind of a shake, right?
No,
unless you're Portillo's and you're putting cake in it.
No,
cake shakes are pretty good.
Kroll shakes are different. It's
Okay.
They have big chunks of real fruit in them and stuff like that.
Oh.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I don't order those, so yeah, it's just kind of an old traditional restaurant. Like most people, if they're coming to Green Bay and haven't been to Green Bay, that's like a spot that they'll stop. So that's the reason I pointed out. And like I said, it's pretty close. It's actually the closest restaurant other than a McDonald's, which is across the street. It's literally the closest restaurant to our venue. So kind of a nice place to, if you just want to pop around the corner to eat, it's a good spot that way.
Yep.
Time wise and distance wise. Bo says, bring a cooler when you set up as a dealer, eat a protein bar and eat something after the show. Yeah, I think that more dealers will do that.
Don't forget your mushroom coffee, Bo.
Ugh, barf. I'm on board with the cooler and I'm on board with the protein bar, but yeah, no mushroom coffee. Mushrooms are not my thing. Yeah, I think I think that's definitely something you want to do, even if they serve food and drink, is to just have something you can quick grab at your table. I would never set up at a show and not at least have water or coffee or something that I bring myself. usually we'll bring like pretzels or like just like a quick snacky Philly food that doesn't make a mess. um, making a mess over cars is not so ideal either. But I do see. So we can argue about this back and forth all ways. Should we have food? Should we have food? But what I can tell you is a lot of shows I've been to, I've seen people participating in the foods and drinks
Yeah.
that are offered. So we wanted to make sure that if we found a venue that had it, we wanted to make sure that was something that we could offer should people want it.
Yeah. I feel like what we sell at shows, like we could literally have an unmanned table. We could just put out a cup and say like, take what you want,
Donations.
give us what's spare.
Yep. Yeah, like the old trick or treat thing, right? Like just take one,
Yeah.
put them all in a bowl.
So we tend to walk away a lot more often.
But I think that's exactly my point. I think there's so many different angles to who's at a card show, right? You have, you said it yourself. Okay, you bring your wife and the kids and they're not into cards. You might want to have a place for them to sit down or a place for them to get something to drink or, an easy bathroom to get to, whatever. Whereas maybe that's not important to you, but it might be important to those other people in the party. So
I tell my wife and kids every time when they go, remember, I'm planning on being there the entire show.
Right.
And inevitably 4 hours in, I start sensing they want to go.
Right. Well, I think the key is to try to make a show as welcoming to anyone who wants any kind of, a certain kind of experience.
Right. That's my point.
So if you want to go and not get food and drink, that's great. You don't have to do that. You want to go and you don't want to spend the money on food and drink. You'd rather bring your own thing. Great. Do that. You don't want to sit down. You want to stand the whole time. Great. You can do that. You want to sit down and take a break. Well, there's chairs, some dealers want a lot of space. Well, there's going to be some space. Some dealers want to make sure it's a big enough show. Well, there's going to be plenty of tables set up too for dealers. So yeah, I think you want to just try to hit, when the customers come in and they're like, well, I only buy Pokemon. Well, you want to make sure you got Pokemon available there. Well, I only collect football. Well, here's some dealers that do football. I think what you really want to try to do is hit as many targets for people as you can. And that should create a positive experience for just about anybody that shows up. And I might have somebody who comes in that says, well, I only collect 1977 Superman cards and I didn't find a single one at this show. Oh, well, sorry you didn't find what you were looking for. You're not going to be able to hit that for everybody, but trying to give everybody options for things they might want to have. Max says the time before the show used to be dealer to dealer business. Now half the shows I set up at are people getting in the way and taking up closer parking spots. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw the video, Max. I had Bree send that out with the dealer emails the other day, but I made a video of where to go at this venue. Dealer access only in the back. There is, you can keep your car there if you want after you unload. Otherwise, there's an unloading section where it's not going to be anywhere near where any of the customers are. They should not be back there. So we've thought of that. So one thing to clarify here, this is the first card show I've ever done, but I've done some very big shows in the past for other things. So I have some pretty good experience at this, and I've obviously been to plenty of card shows and know plenty of people who promote card shows. Bo does a great job with his show. Matt does a great job with his shows up here. And I've talked to all of them about shows and, what makes a good show, what don't you like, what do you like, what do your customers like, dealers like, not like, that kind of thing. And we tried to sort of take as much of that experience and knowledge from others and try to come up with a show that we think will be a lot of fun.
Right. Generate some excitement to go along with the grind of a regular, card transaction day.
Yeah. Now, the one thing we're also going to do is after the show, we are going to send out a survey. I don't really want to necessarily call it a survey. We're going to send out like a feedback request, I guess, from all of the dealers to say, hey, what do you think went well? What didn't go well? What could we change? What could we add? What should we take away? The hours too long, hours too short, not enough light, too much light. We want to get a feedback after this first one to find out, what is what we should be doing for the next show.
Right.
So you will definitely get to share all those opinions, Max, at the end of the show too. When we contact everybody next week. Because I also think that's important. I think it's smart to get some feedback, and I can go there as the promoter and be like, this show was awesome, but if all the dealers hate it, well, what good is that? So we want to make sure we take into account how everybody feels about it. Lofi Joe is here. Sorry I'm late. What the heck were you doing? What could possibly be more important than two old guys with fresh haircuts? That's right, fresh, and a goat. I love the
Yeah.
thing that it does. I couldn't.
I don't know.
I won't do
now
it.
he doesn't
I
want
won't
to do it.
now. Oh my god, that's amazing. It's like a goat scream automatic shotgun, right? Or
Yes.
semi-automatic. Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like. I have so many toys that do stuff like that. So real quick sidebar here. I had in our last house, it was just me and my wife at that time. So we had like all these bedrooms that nobody was in. We didn't have a kid yet. And so anyway, so one of our guest bedrooms across the hall from our master bedroom, we had some toys and stuff on a shelf in there. It was going to be a bedroom for a baby at some point.
Okay.
And we had one of those, we had a couple of those Furby, Mogwais, the
Yep,
gizmo
I
one.
remember those.
Dude, when the batteries start going on those things, they are freaking possessed. They would just turn on and say random stuff. And then because they interact, they're supposed to work with each other. So the one would go and then the other one would go, uh-oh, and like just, so like it's in like stereo because there's one on either side of the room and they're talking to each other. It was creepy. We used to laugh so hard in the middle of the night, and like you'd be sitting there and it's dead quiet because we didn't have a kid, so it was actually dead quiet in the house.
Yeah.
And you just hear because it had that goofy little laugh, and it would just have this maniacal laugh in the middle of the quiet of the night. And it was awesome. All right. Bo says some shows can't help early birds. Madison, multiple rooms, multiple entrances. So I make lemonade out of lemons and welcome the early birds. Yeah, and that's exactly right. You have to work with what your venue is, what your show is, and you have a bigger show. You have so many, like you said, you have multiple rooms and everything. So it'd be pretty tough to monitor. And it's in a hotel. Like you can't just tell people they can't come in a hotel. That would be pretty tough. So yeah, based on for your venue, you're right. I don't think there's anything you can do about it. You got to have those early birds get in there. Matt says the Madison show is by far the best card show I attend. Early birds are welcome. Correct. Yes, they are there.
I got to get to one of those shows. I have not made it down there yet. Schedule just hasn't lined up, but it's on my list.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to. There's some distilleries down there that I like.
Oh,
So we usually try to line it up with that. So when we start putting together our whiskey adventures for this next, because we kind of take the time off in the summer because we all have other stuff to do. Some of my friends, like you, they have properties up north, and people are just gone and doing stuff. And then, we start getting into the Christmas season, and then once spring hits, we'll have our whiskey stuff set up again. We might do one right before then, so maybe like late October or something. Maybe I'll get to a show. I don't know what his calendar is. I haven't looked at the Madison show in a bit, but yeah, I love that show. I try to go at least twice a year. It's not super close for us. Just for those who don't know, it's about a 3-hour trip. It is conveniently off the highway, so I do like that. And there are plenty of places to eat around there and everything. So I like getting to that show for sure. Lots of good dealers. I always come out of there with plenty of stuff. soccer cards. I can actually get soccer cards there.
Really?
Yes. So not a ton of soccer dealers, but pretty much every time I go to that show, there's a small count of them, enough that I can pick up some soccer stuff that I want. So I love it. I love it for that reason. For me, that's something that I look for there for sure.
I might, speaking of soccer, I might get a chance this weekend to start on a liquidity list for soccer. Maybe
Sweet.
Saturday. We're not going out of town because of the show on Sunday. So I would like to try and get that one. We've had a few requests for it. So I'd like to see what I can put together for it.
That would be cool. I would love to. I would actually watch your video then, Charlie.
At least some of it.
Right. Well, at least for the number one. I'll just go to the end where all 10 are listed there. It's real easy.
I was going to
Cut the
say, you're
suspense.
probably a big fan that I put in the chapters in the description so you can know right where to go to.
Yep. Yep. Just need those peaks. Where's the peaks in the video views, or where everybody else went? That's what I want. That's what I want to get to. It's funny when I'll look at my videos sometimes and you'll have a video where it starts out really high and then just, and it's like, I kind of lost my audience there. Then I'll have one where it's like, starts out slower and it builds up. Then I'll have another one where it's up and then down and then right back up. So I did something in there that, it's interesting how that can change. And sometimes I think to some degree it's just luck of the draw too. Like if I have sustaining views, I'm like, just because they put it on in the background, they were too lazy to get up and change the channel,
Well, I think about that a lot because I usually watch YouTube in short spurts, like in between things. Rarely do I get to start something and watch all the way through. And then I'm like, oh, geez, how does that impact that creator stats on that,
Right. Yeah. And I think when you first start out on YouTube, you get caught up on some of that, but I think you just have to kind of just like make videos and have fun with it. And if it gets to a point where you really grow an audience or you really start making an income and you want to build it into something bigger, then, maybe you want to look at that stuff a little more seriously. But I never did it with the intention of like making a living off of it or something goofy like that. The only reason I ever started the channel was because I thought there was a lot of dangerous channels out there just telling people to buy base prisms, get them graded 10s and make a bunch of money. And I knew that wasn't like a real thing. So not a long-term thing anyway. So I kind of wanted to, I don't know, show another angle to sports cards.
Sure.
And here we are, like 4 years later. Posted new short for the card show.
Okay.
You did?
Well, that would be one or both of my boys. I don't know. They share that channel.
Okay. Yeah. So they did a short for the card show. Okay, well, I'd like to see. Is it my commercial or is it did they make their own?
News to me. Like this is breaking news. I think they just did this while we were on.
I'm gonna have to check out their channel later when we get out of here. Let me see how far my battery's at. My battery now determines how long our show goes. In case you guys are new here, it literally turned off during Charlie and I's little post conversation, our post mortem after the show.
We
were talking and it just went. Yeah, it does. Now it does.
It'll say a couple percent left, but then you just disappear.
I have 52% today, so we're flying high.
Nice.
We might have a lot of battery. I got started a little late, so that's probably why. Max says he has about 500 new singles that'll be priced and out this weekend. Awesome. That sounds like some great, inventory. Good shots for customers to get some new stuff.
I actually got a lead on a new market for me today. I had someone at my other job approach me about wanting to move some Magic the Gathering cards and cull their collection a little bit, and he didn't want to go to an LCS after looking around. He said, I'd rather see them go to somebody who can, help their own store with them. So I asked if I would be interested, and I said, heck yeah, bring them in. Let's take a look. I think that would be good for me to check out.
Yeah, I'm going to start adding more gaming cards as well. I think we talked about that a little bit last week. Yeah, I think it's smart. As you grow, you need to grow your products and your
Hmm.
customer base. Yeah, I saw a lot of Brett Favre cards, but if I keep adding Brett Favre cards, I'm not going to get new customers necessarily.
Right. Right.
So, yeah, gotta keep it going. So that's cool. Yeah, let me know how that goes. Keep us up to date. Brian says 2-3 rows. He'll explain Sunday.
Okay.
Sounds good. Jamal Williams Lyons, a reporter. There it is. That's the first one. The reporter asked him about Pokemon, and Williams called him out on it. It's hilarious. Yeah, that was a pretty good video. I enjoyed that. Max says, for the record, I don't think having food at an event is a negative. Just very low on my list of qualities at a show. Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of something like that when you offer it, is as long as it's not in the way. I agree with you. If it's like in the center of the room and you just have people sitting around a bar and you're trying to do a card show, that's not so great. But if you've got a spot off out of the way where people can go take a break and stuff, I think that's a good thing. Even if it's not something that you want to participate in.
Right.
Max says a lot of aspects that I view from a dealer's perspective are the exact opposite from attendees' perspective for me. Correct. And that was kind of my point earlier, where it's like, well, the dealer's there all day and the buyers are all day. They might be doing wanting two different things. I'm with Charlie. A nice cold beer after hours of digging and bargain boxes hits the spot. I don't really drink beer. So yeah, that's all on you guys. But I do like a nice cold something when I'm done. That's for sure.
At the National, I was hitting it well before hours of digging. Like, I remember it was like 11:30 and I was like, can I get a beer this early? Because it was a lot. The National was a lot for me. Going as my first one, it was a lot to take in. And I needed to just balance myself a little bit and get away from that wild card booth.
So you know what they need to have right across from the wild card booth?
What?
A Gamblers Anonymous booth. That's what they need, because you and Dan were hilarious. I was like, you guys and and it was me and Ethan that were like, wild card guys, wild card. And yeah, and we controlled ourselves pretty well. But it's and I'm just giving you a hard time. You're right. That first one you go to, it's such a thing, and it's big, and everybody's right in front of you, and it's a big carnival, right? There's lights and sounds everywhere, and yeah, and it can be overwhelming. It can be a place, and I think even a smaller card show can be that way for some people too.
Sure.
It can be a place where you just need a break, and I think that's good. I have a buddy who's into cards too, and he has an autistic son, and he takes him to shows, and he said he can't go to certain shows because his son will get too caught up in it. If the crowd is too bumpy, there isn't enough space, or it gets too loud, or he doesn't have a place where he can take a break. So he's like, I'm not going to take my son to an experience like that. And it's something that they do together, because it can be harder to find common grounds with children who don't see the world the same way you do. And when you find something, that's something you really want to, grab onto.
Right.
So he said, I really want to continue to do these shows, but there's certain ones that I just can't do. So I don't know. Sometimes I think about stuff like that, where it's like, I just really want to try to provide an experience that for everybody. And there might be some people who come to the show and they're like, I hated that show. It didn't have this, and this, and that's what I want. And that's just how it is,
Like I said, I think it's a pretty tall task to try and hit everybody's checklist, right? There's just
it's actually impossible, because somebody might say, well, the prices were too high. Well, we don't control that.
Yeah.
So some of the things, even where you don't want to see certain things, one of my complaints always at card shows is I don't see enough non-sport. Well, the promoter can't really change that. Like, they need somebody to set up that has non-sport cards, And then there's been other shows where it's like, man, I found some really good non-sport stuff. So, and that's where the National solves those problems for me. I know I can get pretty much whatever I want when I go to the National. You got to look for it a little bit. And it's a lot of stuff. It's 8 hours of digging for 5 days. It's an
Yeah.
intense process. But I feel like I can get accomplished what I need accomplished there. And then all the other shows and buying and stuff throughout the year kind of fills in those holes.
I do have to say, my experience at the National, I come back to it a lot because buying a lot at the National, which you have great choices at the National, has relieved me from feeling like I have to go to a show every weekend to get more inventory, right?
Right.
Like I still have National cards I picked up that I haven't even listed yet, So if you hit a couple of card shows and you make a big buy, you can kind of set yourself up for a while, right? And I think that's one of the pluses I took away from the National is, I really set myself up heading into football season in particular. For me, I haven't had the time to go to shows. If I had not gone to the National and made that buy, and even going back to the old Creek show and buying those 2 boxes, I might have put myself in a bad spot because I wouldn't have had time to go to a bunch of shows that, the last month.
Yeah, and that was kind of what I was trying to stress to you when you're thinking about going. And I said, that's your spot to pick up inventory for the entire year. And what I meant by that was not, okay, that's the only show you have to go to, but it was like, you'll always have some inventory. So if you have times where you just don't find things at a show, you don't want to be put into a position where you have to buy, because now you're going to overpay, or you're going to buy cards you don't want, or you can't resell. So it's a great way to just get a good chunk of stuff that, you'll have stuff to list. You'll have things you can make money on throughout the year in between all your other times of picking stuff up. So yeah, and that's basically what I use it for. I fill my 2 5-row boxes and, or more if I can, if I can find enough stuff. And then, I just keep listing that stuff throughout the year. I just listed some National stuff from the year before, like a week before we left.
Right.
I was listing those Breaking Bad cards. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not like I had to list Breaking Bad right away. It's not in season or out of, so yeah, it's interesting. Bo says he's never had to use calc or trig at a bar trivia night.
True.
You just wait. And so next week when you go to your bar trivia, they're going to be like, solve this calculus problem. And you're going to be like, damn it, I should have paid attention in high school or college or whenever you took it. I think it's funny that you mention it that way, because I feel like that's the one time it could actually come up. Like, you're never going to use trig and calc just talking to your buddies, but some stupid trivia question is going to have some calc problem in it, Show us what you know that doesn't matter. That's basically what trivia is.
That's a good analogy here. Description.
Yeah. Sports cards Detour. Is this one new? Are you new? Because I don't remember this name. And I suck at names. We've been over this before, but in case you're new here. Hello all, enjoying the show while sorting. That's awesome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. And it is kind of a decent background show while sorting or listing, I think, right? I mean, we have some good conversation. If you can throw something in the chat once in a while, that's great too. Max says he's not a shake guy. He'll take water or soda. I'm kind of with you on that one. I don't really do shakes, and I don't really
shakes go right in there.
See, I think for me, if I was to get a shake, it would just be because I want to shake. Like, I don't think it wouldn't like round out a meal for me. Like, if I'm getting a burger and fries, I don't want to shake. Like, that's just too much. But like, let's say, it's warm out in August and I'm driving around and I'm running errands, I'll stop and get a shake. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's more like a dessert item for me or something, I think is probably the better way to put it. versus a drink.
I don't go out of my way for them, but I also know
Yeah.
I remember when I get a really good shake, and Kroll's has really
Mhm.
good shakes. But
Have you ever been to
never malts.
Portillo's?
Never malts.
Never malts? Okay.
No. Mm-mm.
Have you ever been to Portillo's?
I don't think I have.
Okay. It's life-changing. So stop there when you're down south next time. Maybe I'll take you there because that's where Ethan and I usually stop. When we come back from the national, we'll stop in Gurney. You know where Gurney is?
Yeah.
We'll stop in Gurney and go to the Portillo's and have lunch. I can't remember. Yeah, I think we did that on the way back, not on the way down. I don't know. But yeah, we'll take you there. You'll enjoy that. That's a great experience.
I remember you guys talking about it on the way down to the National this year.
Portillo's. It was fun because last year when we stopped there, somebody who made a replica Ecto 1 from Ghostbusters car was there, so that was fun. We took some pictures with it and stuff, and
Nice.
yeah, Portillo's is amazing. They also have a really good Nike outlet there, so I may or may not stop in there and buy like 5 pairs of Jordans. We'll see.
Right.
Yeah. That's where I found my Space Jam Jordans, and those were pretty tough at the time, so I was pretty excited about that. All right, Max says, I sound like I'm picky, but I'm really not. There's really only 2 things I have an issue with at shows I set up at, so I'm pretty easy to please. Well, that's good. I'm hoping we easily please you this weekend. Dan says DJ Goat. I love it. Wicka, wicka, wicka.
Oh, it doesn't want to start again. He's
It broke.
finicky.
It's broken. That's insane. It's like Goat Storm by Dustude. It's like a German song. Is that what we're trying to say? The Goat Storm by Dustude. Du
Yeah.
hast. Max says, "Feed me." Dave Snyder is here. He says, "I love your content. I love the honesty. Did you guys see my rant on SCR 2 weeks ago? I'm just so down on wax in the industry with all the CT scanning talk." Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you. I don't know. I mean, I watch sports card radio here and there. I don't know if I saw the one 2 weeks ago, but I'm kind of with you on the wax thing. I don't know that I would really buy wax from a second party dealer that I don't know. I do have some wax coming that I ordered directly from Fanatics. I feel like that should be okay. And
Sure.
and it's some blaster boxes, so it's nothing big. But I'm not a wax guy anyway. So I guess when I look at that story or I watch those videos, it doesn't really throw me off one way or the other because it doesn't really apply to what I do. But yeah, I could see if you're like buying wax at shows or something like that and you don't really know who it's coming from. I don't know, maybe they got scanned. I don't know. But boxes can have errors too. I bought a box of Bowman Chrome University that was supposed to have 2 autos in it, and
I
I didn't get
remember
a
that.
single one.
Yeah.
And I contacted Topps and they did not give a crap because I bought it from a random card dealer at a show for cash.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean that's just part of the wax game, I guess. But yeah, I think it's kind of funny you say it that way, that I'm burned out. How did he say that? I'm so down on wax and the industry. I think a lot of people are kind of down on wax because it's so darn expensive. And it's just a losing proposition in most cases. And I think that's intentional. And the reason I think it's intentional is because of breakers. So I think what I've come to the realization on is they don't want like you or me to buy a pack of cards. They want us to buy a spot and a break. That's how they want us to get our wax, our out of a pack cards.
Right.
So what they do is they price the boxes at, some stupid price, $700, because then they'll sell the teams at $30 a team or whatever it is, and or $50 a team, and then you just buy your $50 team, and that's
Yeah.
how that's how they validate the price. They can make a lot more money doing it that way. It's less supplying for them because they just go, well, 10 cases to this breaker, 10 cases to this breaker, done. Um, and then the basically the breakers handle the secondary market for them. They get all the money up front, and then the breakers just have to find the end user.
Part of what bothers me
So
about the scanning too is
now, are they
just
getting?
the image that these breakers put out there of, oh my gosh, look what I'm hitting in these brakes, and it, whether intentional or not, it influences people to go out and buy their own case or buy their own box of some of these higher end stuff, thinking they're going to get rips like that too, when in actuality these breakers probably, had 100 cases, and if they are scanning them, they're just showing you the hot hits, right? So you got a lot of people that are influenced by that don't have the money to spend on it, that now think, oh, that's my lottery ticket, right? And then they end up worse off.
Well, it's funny because I was telling Brie about this. Like, dude, they CT scan boxes, and she's like, "Well, who's gonna buy a CT scanner to scan box?" And I said, "Yeah, but you're thinking like the guy who buys a box here and there. But what about these breakers that are breaking like 30 cases of something at a time? It would easily be worth their investment to
Yeah.
buy a CT scanner and
Mhm.
hire someone who knows how to operate the thing. That's small potatoes compared to the potential, gains out of it. So
Right.
I don't know. I think there's got to be some ways to combat that. I mean, there's ways to block CT from affecting other things. So I would think that if the card manufacturers care or get pushed to doing it, I would imagine they could put some kind of lining in the box, or
But
the
then that's
pack.
going to drive up costs, and it's going
It
to be
will.
passed on to everybody.
Yes, that's correct. But it would prevent the scanning and put a fair playing field out there again. They kind of had to do that when everybody started weighing the damn packs for the jersey cards. And they
Yeah.
had to start putting blanks in the packs and things like that. And if you want to sell a blind packaged product, you have to have some sort of counter to searching, to keep it fair, because the whole point of selling something blind packaged is you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
Well, if half the people know what they're going to get, that the whole thing is done. That it doesn't work anymore. So instead of using like the regular foil wrapper, maybe it would be a foil wrapper that would have like a liner in it that or some plastic layer in it that would
Yeah.
prevent a CT scan. I don't know anything about CT scanning. I'm totally talking off the top of my freshly cut hair. But I would think that there's some way that they could get around it.
Right.
Now, that doesn't really work for older packs or whatever is currently out there, but buyer beware. If you buy a box, it might have been searched in more ways than one. If you buy anything from the early 2000s, has it been weighed? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
It would have been weighed for the autographs and jerseys and stuff. And, if that was the time before they started putting blanks and things in to try to even out weights, you're probably going to not get everything in the box that you could potentially get. Bo must do off-campus trivia. That would explain the absence of simple math. Max says, Charlie, let's talk about Magic the Gathering on Sunday. There you go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Especially if you don't want to take it all. He wants your Magic the Gathering cards, Charlie. He
Well,
wants
maybe
your
there's enough
stuff.
to go around.
Just sell it to him in bulk and don't deal with it. Move on.
I'm curious about it.
Dave says agreed. Not gonna please everybody. Yep, that's exactly it. You learn that pretty early on in life that's just not something that's attainable, especially when you have a larger crowd. If this was a show with 4 tables, we could probably get a pretty good understanding what those 4 people wanted and nail it. But you're doing 88 tables, and anybody can book them, and anybody from the general public can come in for free and shot. Like, it's not possible. There's no way you would get you can get as good a sampling as and get it as right as you can, but yeah, you're not going to get everybody. Dave says, yeah, the hobby's lost control and it's a casino mindset. I think for some it is. That I would totally agree. I think many of the rest of us, especially who have been in the hobby a long time, aren't really falling for that. I haven't been. And now that you got to take that with a grain of salt. There's nothing wrong with going to Wildcard and buying some packs to see if you hit an auto on, or going to buying a box of I really like this Topps composite stuff. Fanatics had an exclusive box out. I'm like, I'm gonna buy a box of that because I like the cards. And that is still kind of a casino hit. I don't know if I'm gonna get anything out of it. I paid their retail price for it, and so I think it's like anything. I'm not against gambling either, but you have to do it within control and within your means. So, and I don't think that's necessarily new. I think sports cards for almost ever, it has been a bit of a gamble, right? Otherwise, why would they blind package it? If they would just sell you the Mickey Mantle outright, that rather than putting it in a pack with other cards.
Yeah.
So, and that's part of what makes it fun. It's fun to open a pack and hit something.
But I think that piece of it is certainly more skewed towards investors, flippers, collectors probably don't care, right? So.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what Max is saying here. Come see the light in sub $100 sports cards and Pokemon. The casino is gone. Yes. So yeah, just stay in, the smaller zones and you won't see the casino part of it as much. Dave says, I'm trying to unwind from the loss of trust and fun in the hobby. I may need another break in the collecting, like after the junk wax era. There's nothing wrong with that either. If you need a break, take a break. It'll be here when you get back.
So I see a lot of content debating whether we're in another junk wax era now.
I don't think so, because I've been kind of watching for that a little bit, as this is my choice of, living at this point. Mm-hmm. And I've been looking at a lot of the printing numbers, and they're actually quite a bit down. Yeah. So I don't see that. Now, I'm not saying Fanatics isn't going to jump in and start pushing those numbers up higher. But I actually think there's more. I think there's more people in the hobby. They're just not buying like they were before. Because this is what now, the 4th show in the Green Bay area. You couldn't even have supported one show 5 years ago. 7 years ago. And it's been growing, and we see more and more kids, which is a good sign for health for a future hobby. And so I don't really see the negatives that way. eBay their numbers keep growing on how many cards they're selling every month. PSA's numbers on how many cards they're grading keeps going up every month. Yeah. So I don't really see that. Although maybe that's bad because that just means there's more cards. But yeah, if you look at like printing numbers and stuff, I think that's your better indicator for things like that. And there's a lot of there's a lot of good products out there that don't have big printing numbers. I love Zenith football, and they don't make hardly any of it.
But there's also a lot more products, a lot more parallels and variants. What is it, like LeBron has 700 and some rookie cards because there's so many different offerings?
Yeah, parallels, I would agree with you there. As far as like more sets and stuff, I don't think so. I think there was quite a few more in the junk wax era because you had so many companies. Now you basically just have Panini and Topps. But back then you had Donruss, you had Score, you had Collector's Edge, you had Leaf, you had Pro Set, you had there were on and on and on and on and on. You had all these companies, and they were all making multiple sets. So, but you didn't have all you didn't have as many parallels. That's true.
Yeah.
So, if you buy a box of Prism now, you can get the Rainbow is like 35 cards for one player or something.
Yeah.
Something insane. This is a 1-of-1. Well, not really, because there's 5 1-of-1s for that player. It's just this one is the Onyx Black, and this one is the Gold Vinyl, and this one is the Purple Horseshoe, and this one is the
Yeah.
alligator butt, or whatever. Um, so yeah, I don't know that necessarily means that. I mean, how do you define junk wax? To me, the definition of junk wax is where they printed so much that there's literally like cases of boxes laying around in shops that they can't sell. And I don't
Yeah.
see that at all. I haven't seen that at all.
That's true.
If anything, and as a matter of fact, I was in one of the Green Bay shops today, just dropping off some more flowers and picking up some supplies and stuff. And I asked them about Topps Composite because I was like, well, maybe I could pick up some singles, or maybe they got some bulk from, bulk base from stuff that they open because I like to buy that stuff. And he's like, no, we got 5 boxes. That was it. And they were all gone in one day. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, clearly there isn't a glut of product out here versus
Yeah.
I can remember in 1989 and 1990 when, I used to walk in a shop, actually shop owned by the same owner of this new shop. And I can remember he had wax box, 1990 Pro Set wax boxes stacked floor to ceiling. I could have bought 500 of them if I wanted, and they were $5 a box. And that had Emmitt Smith's rookie card in it. Like there's some okay stuff in there, Barry Sanders was in his second year, and Troy Aikman, it was the second year of that amazing rookie class. Deion Sanders had the Santa Claus card in it, so there was even a decent chase.
Yeah.
I mean, we laugh at those now, but those mattered back. Well, the Santa Claus card still matters. I
Mhm.
saw one at the National PSA 10 for like $700 or something insane. To me, that's junk wax. When the cards are just laying around and nobody's buying them, then that's when that's a problem. But I don't see that.
I think that's a good argument.
Now, you can make a little bit of an argument for a junk slab era, but I think that was a few years ago we were in that. I
Right.
think that was like
Right.
that 2020 to 2023 range maybe versus 23, 24. I don't think it has that much of a junk grading
Right.
scale because everybody was taking their Zion Williamson Prism base, grading them 10s, and then reselling them, and idiots were paying way too much for them. Or I shouldn't say idiots, uninformed people were paying too much
Because
for
Jeff
them.
Wilson told him to.
Not understanding it. That's a whole other. That's another thing. So, that would be, as somebody who definitely went through the junk wax era. This is nothing like that. And I've already mentioned it twice in this video, but should you go out and buy a PSA 10 Prism base Zion Williamson? No. And that even if he was playing really well and on his way to a MVP or something, I still would not buy that card.
Yeah.
When there's 23,000 of them out there or whatever the heck that number's up to now. No. So there's some junk slab era there. But not wax. Wax is not laying around.
He still made the top 30 in our list.
Zion did?
Zion did, yeah. Barely. He was at number 29.
I'll still buy Zion stuff if I find a good deal on it and it does sell.
Yeah.
There's always a time, since he was a rookie, there's always a time in the season where he has a good stretch and his cards sell because he's an amazing player. He can't stay healthy. He's too big. I feel like in his off season, he puts in all the work, maybe because someone's forcing him to do it.
Right.
But then I feel like in the season when he's just going from town to town to play these games, like he doesn't put any effort into it.
Yeah.
And that's clearly a problem. And for a person his size, I think he really needs to stay on top of it for it to not be a problem. I think that's kind of what happened to Eddie Lacy, but an exact opposite, didn't it? Like during the season,
right.
like during the season, they were like, dude, you got to get on this. You got to get on. And then for like the 4 months in the off season, he just ate cheeseburgers. And like, that doesn't really work for that.
Probably trolls.
For the yeah, sure. At that kind of an athlete level, you can't really do that. It's like, you really have to be on it, if you want to stay away from injury, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, when I played in Europe and stuff, I mean, I was running 7 miles in the morning and then doing training in the afternoon. We'd usually have like a weight day and like a rest day after that.
Yep.
But that was it. That was it. And then you were right back out there. And then it was, games and tournaments and practices, that didn't include any of the sports stuff. That was just like my regular don't die out on the field type training,
Mhm.
training kind of thing. And like these guys are, their physical demands are way bigger than what mine were. So, I mean, most of these guys, they have like ice baths and hyperbaric chambers in their house. And like they're the top athletes are they're putting themselves through it every day. So all right. Max says malts over shakes. Interesting. Oh,
You.
why can't I click on that? Can't click on the comment. Hold on. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Malts versus shakes. Malts over shakes. I don't know if I've ever really had a malt. Aren't they usually
No?
chocolate? I don't like chocolate stuff.
Um.
So
Well,
I don't think I would have had a malt.
The malt mix is separate from the ice cream, so you can have it with any kind of ice cream.
But isn't it usually chocolate?
That's
What
probably
other
the
kind of
first
malts
thing
are
you
there?
think about.
Oh,
Vanilla or
butterscotch.
whatever.
Maybe I had a
Yeah.
butterscotch one. Now that I think about it. And I don't remember being like overly thrilled with it but I can't really tell you about a shake that changed my life either. I think they're just not my thing.
You're
But I'm
missing
not a
out.
big ice cream guy either. No. I got to tell you something that is life changing, okay? Ready? Are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Go for it.
Baja Blast Gelato.
Baja Blast Gelato. Is that something Sarah's got?
No, you have to get it at Taco Bell. Baja Blast Gelato. It's not on their menu. It's an online order only item. They're trying to get more people to use their app, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Okay.
It is pickup or you can Grubhub it or whatever, but yeah, I've got them today. Me and the little we're big Baja Blast fans, so as a treat I went and picked a couple of them up today and surprised her with them, and we just sat. We didn't even talk. We were just so moved in the experience. We just sat here eating our gelato, and it's unbelievable. Do you like gelato? Are you a gelato
I
person?
love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I
why
would
asked
prefer
you
that.
from Sarah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and Sarah's gelato is really good too. I would prefer gelato over ice cream or frozen yogurt or any of those, honestly.
Or custard. Yep.
If you have good flavors, her pistachio gelato,
Really
magnifique.
good. Yep.
But go get. Do you like Taco Bell? Kind of. No.
No, not really.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of it either, but once in a while I just need that crappy taco. So I'll stop. But the Baja Blast gelato, so good. Well, you're obviously friends on Facebook with me. I made a post about it today, so you can.
Did
go
you
take a look
really?
at it if you want? Of course. Yeah, they're little, so they fit in my well, down on my office level, I have a mini fridge down here, and they fit in the freezer in my mini fridge. So I'm like, oh no. And then, like, I go up there to get the gelato, right? And the guy's like, he hands me these two gelatos, and then he kind of looks at me, and this is in the drive-through, right? So I can't really see what he's doing, but I could see him kind of flustered. Like, he handed me these, and he was like, and he grabbed a fork and he hands it to me. He's like, sorry, I ain't got spoons. And I'm like, okay. Well, and clearly he didn't notice this either. But when you pop the top off, there's a plastic spoon mounted in the underneath the top.
Really?
Yeah, that you can just crack out and eat with it. I wish I still had it down here. I think I brought them upstairs to throw them away.
Right?
So yeah, remember when you were a kid and you had the little Sunday? Yeah, remember yeah, that's a good point. Or the little Sunday cups and they had the little wooden spoons.
Yep, the wooden one.
So it's kind of like that, only it's a plastic one that's like attached to a rim on the inside of the cap when you pull it off the gelato, and then it's a little spoon you just snap off and works pretty good. But yes, Baja Blast gelato. Anyone out there who hasn't gotten one yet, you have to do this. Have to. You'll thank me. Trust me. The other thing is it
Sure, I'm
has
not
no
gonna do
caffeine in it because
that.
I can't believe you. Can't
I'm
believe
not a
it.
big Baja
Um,
Blast fan either.
All right, I'm done with this. I don't think I can. I don't think you can be saved
I
anymore,
feel like
Charlie.
everything at Taco Bell is going to shorten my lifespan by a year.
Yeah, but it can be worth it too. So is having kids. So is being married.
That
So
for
is
sure. Yeah.
you know. So anyway, your life's gonna end at some point. You got to decide where to take your lumps, right? You know. Let's see. Max says the first time you did that, it sounded like Sandstorm by Darude. Okay, well,
Oh.
Charlie, you're on the quest. I don't know who Sandstorm by Darude is. I'm assuming he's referring to your DJ efforts there.
It's a song that Stu performed on.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. He's like the backup guy on that song. That's why it reminded you of that. The feed me was from the Furby Talk, not me. Oh yeah, that's right. He used to say that. Feed me.
Yeah.
And then he would go da da da. He would sing this little song, right? He'd go da 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 whatever, because you weren't playing with him. So he would get like, oh my god, he was amazing. I still have one. I couldn't get rid of them. They were too cool. Zion will have an MVP caliber season this year. Mark my words. He's been a top 10 talent when healthy. I agree. I think that's why it's kind of hard for people to let him go. But that being said, I'm not buying heavy into it by any measure. I buy when he goes down and everybody gets rid of their Zions, and I find Zion rookies for $1 in a box. I buy all of them. I don't pass them up. And then he'll have a pretty good run in the season, and then I'll sell them for $5 to $10. And then this year, if that turns around again and he, gets to an MVP, that'd be even better if I still have him. But either way, I'll be able to resell the cards. Because I agree, I don't know if I agree on the MVP part, but he'll certainly have a good chunk of good year. That's the modern NFL running back right now, relevant for 2 to 4 years and then gone. Yes, there's a couple of exceptions, being Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey. That's probably about it. Pretty short list.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs, he was a rookie in 17, I think, 17 or 18.
Sounds right.
He's been pretty solid. Chubb up till last year, Chubb got hurt, so don't know how much that'll cut him down.
It's a
but
passing game these days, so just
yeah, it is.
not as much pound the ball.
Yeah, and even like a lot of the runs are done by the quarterbacks, and then like trick plays run by wide receivers. So a lot of your rushing yards aren't, necessarily running backs anyway. I gotta move. I'm getting cramped up here. I sat really weird when I.
We need some electrolytes.
Kind of always.
Does Baja Blast have electrolytes?
No. It doesn't have anything of value. Although I was surprised because I'm like, oh, this thing has to be loaded with sugar and this and that. It was only like 17 grams of sugar or 14 grams of sugar, which is pretty small. And then there's also no caffeine in it. I'm like, well, how do they put soda in it with no caffeine? Well, they don't use soda. They just use the syrup from the soda mixed in with the gelato.
Oh, okay.
So there's no caffeine in the syrup. The caffeine would be in the soda part, the soda water and the the bubbling stuff. I can't remember what you call that. But so yeah, I was like, wow, there's no caffeine in this. So she was excited because she's like, I could have one of these before bed? Talk to your mom, but yeah, other than the sugar, it's not too bad. It's way less than the soda, that's for sure. They're also like not cheap, so that's the other thing. You're not going to go load up on it by any measure. The cups are pretty small and they're like $4.
Oh,
so and it's like this big. But gelato in general is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
All right, vanilla malt extra powder. Okay, so that's how Max likes it, I guess. Ribeye at Rivers Bend.
Ooh,
I
that's
haven't been to
Eddie
Rivers
Lacy
Bend in a
special.
long time, but yeah, ribeye sounds. Oh, that's the Eddie Lacy. Okay. Says the guy with a beer in his hand at
Fair.
11 a.m. in
I'll have you know
Cleveland.
it was
Yeah.
11:30.
Yeah. 11:30. Whose time though?
That was Eastern time.
Yeah, so it was 10:30. How about
Yeah.
that?
Mhm.
You 100% no sandstorm. Do I? I don't know. Maybe. Off the top of my head, I don't. Looks like Jack in the Box has taken over the dollar box stream with all this food talk. Yeah, the show kind of goes that way at times where certain things sort of grab attention. I think really the food talk came about because we were talking about things you want at a card show, and it seems pretty split between those that are like, I don't care about food and drink, and others that are like, yeah, I want food and drink if I go. So, um, yeah, that kind of kicked that off.
I found
CMC's played.
Sandstorm.
I'm sorry.
I found Sandstorm.
Okay, you're gonna play it for us?
I can. I honestly don't think I'm familiar with it though.
I don't have any recollection of it.
This is Darude's website. That's their YouTube channel, so it should be an official, right?
I would think so. Well, if it's
Yeah.
a song, don't play the whole thing because they'll cut my.
That's a good point.
Mhm.
I've got it at the beginning right now. Let's see what happens.
I just play a few seconds of it, and we can
Sandstorm,
get
use
a
the
feel for it.
audio. All right, let's see what we get.
Now I remember it. Yeah, you're right. So when he does that kind of when he I get you. I get you now. You're right. I do know Sandstorm. How do you know what the name of that song is? That doesn't seem like this something you should ever know the name of. It's just that it's just one of those nameless songs that bump in a club when you walk in, right? That's what it seems like to me. Yeah.
So it's so weird that when I share it, I can't hear it. I don't understand how that works.
Oh, I don't know. I could hear it, but I had to I muted my microphone this time, and then we didn't get the bounce back. So
Right.
I figured that it was me last time, but I could hear it just fine. But I also I have headphones in.
I mean, I could hear it on my monitor, but I couldn't hear it through StreamYard.
Oh, I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how all that works. Max has said CMC's played like 2 whole years since 2017. Yeah, but he's always there. Like he hasn't missed a whole season. Well, I think he did miss one whole season. You're probably right. When he was with Carolina, but it seemed like he's been able to every year he matters. Versus a lot of other running backs, it's pretty short or they're out.
He's also not what I would call a true running back either.
Yeah, I mean he does other things too, but yeah.
He's more like a slot receiver that will sometimes go in the backfield.
Yeah, well, I mean he definitely gets rushes in a game though. I mean it's not like he definitely gets handed the ball too.
Yeah.
Baja Blast has what Adam craves. It has electrolytes. You know me and my electrolytes, buddy. Gotta have those electrolytes.
Hey, Dan was having a Yingling with me. He wasn't shy about 11:30 Yingling.
Dude, Dan just appeared anytime we needed him. He was amazing. Be like, oh, Dan's in the other parking lot. No, he's standing right over there. What in the hell? That dude's magic. Okay. So I hope he's coming to Chicago because we could use some magic there too. So I was places you. So the show itself, I know, like you said, was as your first experience. It's just overwhelming and there's a lot going on. But I think to some degree, what didn't help was all the extracurricular things we had to get through just to be at the
Yeah,
show. Versus Chicago, you just get up in the morning, you hop down there, you walk
sure.
down there whenever you want. You don't have to wait for anybody else. You know, it's noon and you want to take your Yingling break, you just leave the show and go back to the room or whatever. Um, so I think you'll find a little bit more relief in that setting. Careful with DMCA. What does DMCA mean?
I don't know.
Is that the demonetization thing or whatever?
It could be.
I don't know. I'm not worried about it. That's probably why I know it, but I feel like that was something was played every night of every weekend during pre-games and going to bars. Yeah, I know they played at Packer games, so you're right. I would have probably heard it there too. Yeah, that song is not very good, by the way. Pretty terrible.
What do you mean?
It's no Baja Gelato, I'll tell you that much. They need to make a song about that. If you want to talk about relevant, feel-good topics, let's have a Baja Blast Gelato song. Somebody could do it. Are you playing more of that video?
I had to listen to a little bit to hear what everybody's talking about, and I know that music, but I don't think that's an original by this dude.
By what
I think it
dude?
might go back further.
Oh, maybe. What is DMCA? I'm still trying to figure that out.
Music copyright something. Tell us, Max. Tell us. That song makes me think of when I was heavily into DJ Alligator.
Oh my god.
You remember
no one
DJ?
I do. I don't feel like anybody should be into a DJ. Like it just seems like a weird.
Welcome to
So
future.
when I was working on the stuff for Celebration in Orlando, we got. Do you know who DJ Scribble is?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the name.
So he lives in Orlando, right? So we're like, well, we need a DJ for our party, and we had you know who Seth Green is?
Of course.
Okay. Well, Seth Green was our host. So we're like, well, let's just ask Seth Green, you know, so he's like, dude, you got to call DJ Scribble. We're like, all right, dope. So we did that. And DJ Scribble agreed agreed for money to do our party. And that was probably the first time ever. And granted, you're on a high when you're with a bunch of other nerds that like your stuff anyway. But that was like the best dance party I was ever at. I'm like, you know what? I think the DJ actually matters. I never thought it mattered, but he was so good. And he would do these bits where like, you know, he did the things where he'd do like the time changes and the beat drops and all that stuff with the machines and everything. But then he would do stuff where he would like put in like a break in it and then it would just be Jabba's laugh. And then it would be like, boom, boom, and then it would drop, and then it would get into the next. Like he was awesome.
These days,
So
it's all about Deadmau5, right? I think he's the
Well,
DJ of the day.
Yeah, I mean that they all kind of do the same thing, to be honest with you. I mean, you're only reinventing the wheel so much, but
By the way, DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
no, I don't know what that means.
That means don't steal other people's content.
Oh,
Music.
all that would happen is if you can do it for a few seconds of a song.
Yeah.
If it's too long, YouTube either sends me 2 notifications. So for those of you who don't know YouTube, I'll explain this a little bit how this works, but they'll send me either 2 notifications. They'll say, okay, this artist is willing to share revenue, and then you can just share the revenue with the artist. Or I have to change the song or cut that part out of the video. So usually what I'll do is I'll just overtape the song with something else, which in this case could be kind of funny. So we'll see. We'll see if they hit me on that. But almost every live show we do, they pen a review on me because of our topics, which obviously everything we talk about is fine and completely acceptable.
Yeah.
But it happens, and I usually have to go through and say, no, everything's fine. Go take a look at it, and then within a few minutes, they're like, "Yep, you're good to go." So, and I've had it before. Plenty of copyright issues with music because I'm at a show and I'm taping like digging through a box, and I don't realize that there's a Beastie Boys song on in the background or whatever. Got to change it out, and so. They don't just shut you down or demonetize you. They're like, hey, you got this chunk of song in at this time. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then I'll go in and I'll grab some free to use type music or something and just throw it over the top.
And when you're not monetized, they do basically nothing. So
well, right. Because as long as you're not making money, the artist isn't going to care. You're free advertising for them.
Right. Right.
So they might, and you don't know, they might actually still be making money off your video. They just don't have to tell you that you're not getting monetized because you're not anyway. The artist might still be getting something out of those advertiser monies. Based on. So what I've seen more lately is musicians are getting smarter and they're saying, hey, instead of just trying to collect all the money on somebody's content, they're willing to share it with you. Because what usually happens is if you're not going to be monetized, you're not going to make the video. So then they get nothing. So that's kind of stupid, right? So if I make a video, as long as the video doesn't like make fun of your song or put you in some weird bad light, it's a video of me jet skiing and I've got the Top Gun theme playing in the background. They're going to be like, yeah, we'll share that with you. So if I make $20 on it, they make $20 on it. They're $20 ahead for doing essentially nothing. So you're seeing more revenue sharing as opposed to just outright shutting somebody down for using recorded content.
Right.
Let's see where my battery's at. We're getting to the end. I'm at 21%, so I'm actually doing pretty okay yet.
Look at that.
Yeah. So let's put another reminder out there of what's happening this weekend. I know you've all been sitting on your hands for a couple months here waiting for this thing to show up, just like we have. I shouldn't say sitting on our hands. We've been working hard. But so Sunday, September 8th at the Riverside Ballroom in East Green Bay from 9 to 2. There it is. Charlie's got our brand new flyer up there. From 9 to 2 is when the public can come in. We've got 88 tables. We're getting booked up there, but we do have a few paid tables left. So somebody if really needs a table, we can help you figure that out. But yeah, we're getting close to being sold out. And we do have free packs for the first 80 kids who come through the door. We'll get either a Pokemon pack or a NFL pack. They can pick up to when one of them is out. Obviously, if the Pokemon packs are all gone, you're going to have to take an NFL pack, but
yeah,
or vice versa. But so the first 80 kids are going to get a free pack. We have the Randy Moss drawing. If you bring us a new or gently used coat for the Coats for Kids drive, we will give you a ticket and an entry for the helmet. If you want to be entered in for the helmet but don't have a coat to bring and you still want to make sure you make a donation, you can buy a ticket at our table. And we have a nice big tumbler to put all the tickets in to make it really fair to draw a ticket. And the helmet will be present there. If you're there, you can pick it up with you and take it. If you're not going to be there when we do the drawing, then we'll contact you after. So you don't have to be present to win, which is nice. We do have food and drink on site, as we've discussed earlier. There is a full bar. There's an ATM on site. If you need access to some cash, we've got that for you. We even have a coat check closet. It's probably not going to matter in early September, but that might come in handy when we get to
In
the
the winter.
January,
Yeah.
March, shows and stuff. Because we're tentatively looking at January to book our next show. Our booking agent there is on vacation this week or through Friday anyway, so haven't had a chance to connect back with her, but we're looking at some dates there. So hopefully we'll have the next show date nailed down before Sunday, so that we can let all the dealers know right there. Probably take bookings right away if anybody wants to book a table right away, or at least just get it out to you so you can try to make a plan for that.
Right.
Come to the show at that time. Again, thanks to Andrew for making a straight up donation to Coats for Kids. I love it. Thank you so much. $15 goes a long way. You'd be surprised what you can get for kids used coats for $15. And it's really important in our area. We get pretty extreme cold for a few chunks of time in the year. It's very important for kids to have coats, and so they're not waiting for buses and freezing. That's not
Right.
never acceptable. So that's our charity for this one. We do intend to attach a charity to each show we do. So we're looking for ideas on that. I think we have a few other ones in mind already, but so we're gonna try to always tie an angle to that. We'll try to get some donations, get some items to bring, whether it's collecting food, something like that, and give away something cool for that participation is the intention. So look for that. Let's see what else. Anything else you can think of, Charlie? Plenty of parking. It's free admission. There is a McDonald's across the street, so if you don't want to do the bar food thing, there's literally
Other options.
you go in the parking lot here, you go in the parking lot right across the street is McDonald's. We've got the Kroll's right around the corner. Like I said, if you want kind of a fun experience, Green Bay eating experience, that's there. And then there's plenty of restaurants up the road and all that. It's on Main Street, so you can't really if there's something you're looking for, it's probably on that road or near that road.
Yeah.
But also not a ton of traffic. So, and the parking lot's ginormous. So there's not going to be any issue with being able to get to and from the show that way.
Yep, I think it's going to be an exciting time. I'm looking forward to it.
And we'll of course have Stu there. Charlie and I will be set up with tables. We'll have our dime cards there, so come buy our dime stuff. Oh no, mine doesn't work.
Oh no!
There it goes. I try not to push too hard because I'm afraid I'm gonna snap like the little antlers or are those antlers? No, horns. They're horns, right?
Horns, yeah.
Horns.
Yeah.
Horns or the ears or anything. This dude's delicate,
Yeah.
But they'll be there. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good time. I'm super excited about it. We'll take some video. We're gonna try to do some interviews with some dealers and some customers, just kind of finding out what they're finding at the show, what they're looking for at the show. Try to do some live. So those of you who can't be at the show, hopefully you can experience some of it along with us and get a feel for how the day's going.
We talked about bringing a scanner too and doing some demos on the scanner for people.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you want to do that at this show or if we kind of just want to make that for future shows. Just sort of, like I said, we just really want to get this one under our belt so we know what we're doing. And our dealers know where they're going and customers know where to come in. And, this first one, we kind of have to show everybody what's going on. And I don't want to leave anybody, feeling uncomfortable with attending either. We want everybody to go in and know where to go. So I really want to make sure we can focus on our dealers and our customers and getting them, where they need to be, and then add something in later on. But with that, I could certainly use the scanner if you wanted to bring it on Sunday.
I still got a lot to feed through it.
Are you out of scans yet, though?
No. I
Okay.
got about 400 scans left yet.
Oh, you could do that tonight. Come on.
Saturday should be a big scanning day.
Yes. Sunday. Yeah,
I
I mean,
do.
I have
I do have this whole stack that I scanned, and I'm processing through CDP right now.
nice. Yeah, I mean, I have plenty of stuff to put on that doesn't scan too, so yeah, it works either way. But as soon as my scans reload, then I'm like, the day after I gave it to you, my scans reloaded because
Of
I have
course.
so many now. Yeah, so I'm like, are you kidding me? Um, but I have through the 24th, so I've got plenty of time
Yeah.
if you need to hang on to it. But sometimes I get tired of doing them one by one, and I just like the scanner just so I can be like, I'm gonna get a pack of cards done in like 2
Right.
minutes, and it's gonna be awesome.
It
Just
feels
nice
good,
things.
especially when
It
I
does.
hadn't had it. Well, I don't know how long you had it, 2-3 weeks, something like that. It's
Yeah, I had it a
amazing
long
when you
time.
first get it back and start using it again. You're like,
Mhm.
oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Let's see. Do we have anything else on here? Was something played every night of the weekend during pregame? Okay. Charlie knows who lives in the Baja. Is that a wrestling thing?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of
Because I
who it
don't know
is
what that
though.
is.
So the first name that comes to mind is Rey Mysterio, but he's actually the San Diego area 619, which I don't think would count as the Baja, but I could be wrong. Who are you thinking of there, Joe?
Yeah, shout out if you're still here. What are you thinking about? Pretty sure it's basically protecting the IP of the music. Streams may get shut down, demonetized, etc. Yeah, I mean, yes and no. They give you like a time frame to correct it. If you don't, then the revenue just goes to the intellectual property claimant, right? Yeah, the person who claimed the property has their own initials. JV. Ooh, he wants you to guess. It's your turn to play trivia, Charlie.
Ooh, JV. JV. Man, an old school wrestler. And we're talking Baja, Mexico, right? Baja Peninsula. Oh, JV. And how far back is old school? Boy, he's got me kind of stumped on this one.
Yeah,
I
I
feel like
can't
I
help
should
it.
know it though. It's gonna be one of those ones that as soon as we find out who it is, I'm gonna be like, dang it, you
It's
brain in the thin candy shell.
Javier Vasquez.
No, no,
Oh.
no.
Javier Velazquez.
No.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesse the Body Ventura was from Baja? Come on. Come on. That's not true, is it? That just doesn't seem right to me. Something's off.
He seems pretty confident that he knows what he's talking about.
Maybe it doesn't even make sense to me that he would have billed himself from there, right? He does have a place in Los Cabos, Baja. And one in White Bear Lake, Minnesota. See, like I know him from Minnesota now.
Yeah, that's because he was the governor there.
He was, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he was a mayor of Brooklyn Park. He was born in Minneapolis, so he must have moved down there once he made his money and then came back.
Sure.
I would not have thought of him living in Mexico, especially with his whole military background and everything. And like, I would not have put that together. Huh.
You know what he doesn't have though?
What?
Baja Blast Gelato.
He also billed himself from San Diego, California. So I get a pass for not knowing that.
Oh, you get a pass because of that?
Yes, because it's misinformation. I mean, wrestlers never really say they're billed from where they're really from. Like Ken Kennedy's billed himself from Green Bay, Wisconsin, he didn't actually live in Green Bay. He lived in like Manitowoc or something like that, you know.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna show
Well,
you
what
a
else we got?
picture. I'm gonna show you a picture of this delicious gelato.
Delicious gelato.
This
Joe
has the little
Joe has
spoon in it
forgiven
too.
me for not knowing. He I think I would get a lot of wrestling trivia right. That was a good question there, Joe. I feel like that would have been a stumper on trivia night. Bo knows a lot of wrestling too. Wonder if he would have got it right. Did you find your gelato?
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Isn't that amazing? And see that little
It's,
little awesome purple spoon that comes with it?
it's very green.
Yeah, it's Baja Blast. Baja Blast looks like toilet cleaner.
I would try it. I'm sure I would try it.
It's good. You just gotta get there at least once. I don't know how long it's gonna last.
I am not
It's
going to
supposed to
go
be
out
like
of my way to find a Taco Bell to get one. But if Jenny was like, I just really feel like Taco Bell, I'd be like, okay, I'll go. I'll get a Baja Blast gelato.
See, and
Adam said
my
it's amazing.
nobody in my house eats Taco Bell. Nobody.
No?
Nope. So if I want to go, it's like a afternoon running errands type of thing
Yeah.
because we don't eat Taco Bell. So
Yeah, Jenny will get a craving for it before I ever do.
yeah,
I've never been a huge fan.
I think for me it just kind of reminds me of college. You know, we'd go to parties till 2 a.m. and because Taco
Yep.
Bell was like the only place open, and
Yep.
you'd be all wasted. You'd go in and you just have that greasy taco just to bring you back down a little bit, and
Yeah.
it was just a settlement, you know, medicine for you. So sometimes I just want that feeling a little bit of,
Yeah.
with the flavor. So
Although I do remember when Gorditas came out on their menu, I did like those for a while. The
dude,
one thing that sticks
Mexican
with me from
pizza.
their menu though is cinnamon twists.
Yep, they still have those.
Yeah.
The Mexican pizza is good. Yeah, there's some solid menu items for sure. They took the Mexican pizza off for a while and were like, "What are you doing?" And they brought it back last year. It's supposed to be for limited time, but it's still there. So I don't think it's ever going away again. It didn't work out very well for them.
It's like we're trying to make a run at Gordon Ramsay with all this food talk tonight.
I know, right? Yeah. Food's like a common subject though, right? For people to kind of meet on. It's like weather, food, and
Well,
it's
we
an
all need food.
acceptable. It's an acceptable topic. Like nobody gets offended by like one food or another food generally, other than like vegetarians versus, you know, meat eaters, but it's a safer topic than like I don't know, politics or
Yeah.
religion or something like that. You know, you don't want to get into any of that. So food seems to be like, remember when they had these? You know,
Yeah.
like food triggers nostalgia and stuff, you know, probably more than anything else. Like some of my favorite meals that I've had, I'm like, well, did I really like the food or did I just like the experience? Like that place or who I was there with or
That's true.
the time in
We
my
just,
life I was there, you know?
The wife and I just celebrated our 20th wedding anniversary on Monday, and we celebrated Sunday night by
Did you
going
go to
out.
Taco Bell?
No, we went
Wow.
to a nice little supper club on a lake up north and had some, you know, fancy sweet martinis while we waited for a table and had a big ribeye with some gorgonzola cheese on it and stuff like that. So
Nice.
it was great food, but it's the experience that we'll remember, you know?
You should have taken her out for some gelato afterwards.
We would do that, but not Baja Blast gelato.
That's fair. Yeah, we've got, let's see. Trying to think of what year I'm on, but ours is next weekend. Oh gosh. 24 years,
Okay.
25 years, 26 years. I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So, of being together, not being married. We got married in 2001, so it'll be 23 years of marriage. But, courtship before that and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A couple of
Yeah.
years. So, man, it went fast though, hey?
It does. Yeah. Especially once you have
cruises
kids, then
along.
it really goes by
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. I know. I was telling my buddy this past weekend that we had some friends over for dinner, and I'm like, dude, I'm halfway through my parental responsibility. The kid's
Yeah.
almost 10. I'm like, that's crazy to think about. Like, yeah, it's good.
In
Good
4 short years, I might have someone moving out of the house.
Mm-hmm. That was a big motivator for, working from home. We both work from home now, and I yesterday went and picked her up from school, which is a whole different way they do that now with the brand new school.
Yeah.
And brought her over. We hung out for a little bit, brought her over to her other teacher, and it's neat to be able to do that stuff. I don't want to
Yeah.
hire babysitters, and I don't want daycares, and I don't want all that stuff. I want to do it. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
Because the experiences, we want to share those experiences. So
Yep.
a lot of value in that if you can do it. I mean, you have to earn a living, and you got to pay a mortgage, and all the other crap too. But ooh, that was my low battery sound
Uh-oh.
on my laptop. So I think it's time to fold it up,
I think so.
which is good. I think we got in what we wanted to get in. So basically, just one topic tonight. We talked about card shows. What is good? What is bad? What do you want to see? What don't you want to see? So, after this video posts, if you're watching it, as a recorded video, post down below. What do you think about that? What do you want? What do you like about card shows? What don't you like about card shows? Do you hate card shows? You never go to them? Are there never any in your area? Talk about card shows with us. We want to hear from you. And then we'll see you all on Sunday. We'll do some live from the venue and have some fun with that. And next week, probably card shows will be our topic again. It'll be, how did we do? How did it go?
Probably be the
What can
first
we
half
do?
of it.
What can we do different? Yeah, probably a chunk of it anyway. But it seems to be the better topic these days. People seem to be really into the card show experience like when we were kids, which is cool. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
So, any parting thoughts for you, Charlie?
Just my normal advice. Peace out. Take care of each other.
Can't sell what you don't list.